Welcome to the War Business Podcast, hosted by Matthew Bruneman, the author, Brendan Clark, your consigliere for all things war, and Dakota Maynard, the Appalachian war wizard. War is a business. Some would even call it a racket. Every modern war and every business has a carefully crafted marketing image. The War Business Podcast breaches that veil so you can hear the real stories of the average Americans who fight our wars and drive the war industry forward. Our mission is to tell the stories of conventional warriors, let the captains of the war industry share their endeavors, and inform the listeners of current global conflicts. All three hosts served in the United States Marine Corps and hold well-informed perspectives of war and war business. This concludes your introduction. Stand by for the episode.
All right, listen up, all you Blue Falcons, Butter Bars, Barracks Lawyers, and 11 Bang Bangs. Welcome back to the War Business Podcast. Today we're going to do the fourth and final part of Matt's book review, covering the last three chapters of the book. But before we start talking about the book, I'd like to start us off with a quote from a famous Marine, Tyler J. Satterfield. Singing EAS, baby, you can't stop time. Uncle Sam's getting his, so I'm gonna get mine. F.U. SMC, you can suck my cock. I can't wait to be another homeboy back in the block.
My favorite part is that you started that and immediately fucked it up and got the lyrics wrong. Then my third favorite part was the assonance in the beginning. Blue Falcons, Butter Bars, Barracks Lawyers, 11 Bang Bangs. That was good. It's a good literary device, dude. Fucking 10 out of 10.
Well,
How many views do you think that song has on YouTube?
I'm
10
probably half of
fucking
them.
bajillion. Yeah, I'm the other half.
I didn't
My
fuck up the lyric. I copied and pasted the fucking lyrics from the internet, okay?
the
And the
lyrics
internet is
are
never wrong.
The lyrics are another homeboy back on the block, which is also a drill instructorism on the West Coast, best coast. People don't realize that. My rack mate from boot camp sent me that link to that song on my MySpace in 2008. So what we were on boot leave and he sends me this like, we were like, yeah, we can't wait to EAS in for fucking ever.
I liked ranking my friends because that was a big deal. Like when you move somebody up from 3 to 2 or they get
Holy
demoted,
shit.
I'd probably have like my wife number 2, um,
Tom number one.
probably Matt number 3,
Mm.
Blue the dog number 4, Jakey the cat
What are you
number
ranking?
5. My friends.
MySpace friends. You put them in order of precedence. Like white girls have like their little fucking gay fucking boyfriend, Colton or whatever, is number one. And then you check on it on Tuesday, and he ain't even on the top 8 no more, boys. That's
Yeah,
when you
damn.
get it while the iron's hot, son.
Yep.
Strike while the iron's
Strike it.
hot. Will you go to fucking Morp with me?
I had Grizzly Wintergreen as my background on MySpace. Like the wallpaper is just cans of Grizzly Wintergreen.
Dang, how'd you write the code for that?
There's this
Uh,
website so you can go and copy paste it.
I know,
yep.
I'm just joking.
Oh,
My buddy
I,
David helped me get it set up. I still have my email account today is the same email that my buddy set up for me so I could get a MySpace because I didn't know what the fucking internet was. And he had a computer at his house and we'd sit up there and fuck around on MySpace. That's how it started.
Windows 95 didn't get to Appalachia till '08. Hey, everybody from Appalachia, if you may or may not be watching, he always fucks with me about being from California. That was an indictment of him and not of you salted the earth folk.
hence
The
Luke.
Appalachians are gonna kidnap you and take you back to their single wide trailer in the mountains and fucking torture you.
I would be out of California.
Ah, fuck.
When I was working on the Taliban episode last night, I was talking about geographic regions having needing different, equipment, fighting styles, tactics, and whatnot. And I wrote, if China was going to invade California, they would need amphibious craft, and they would be combating blue-haired freaks, but the battle would be much different for the folks in Appalachia.
In Appalachia, they'd all be doing a fucking fentanyl fold whenever the Chinese pulled up. They like just hit the fentanyl syringe and the Chinese fucking parachutes start popping. Like
Oh no, man. I think they'd wear you down with all the meth. They'd just be up for like 72 hours, just never stopping, and you'd be wore down. And
the
then,
Chinese would stop taking prisoners because it'd be like, yeah, you mind on damn time talking about up on the mountain, see them ghost lights up there, and then me and my buddy went up there, and there was a damn alien come on there and grabbed me by the penis and they put the thing in my rear end, and I'll tell you, it's a true damn story. All right, Mr. Appalachian man, we are going to execute you and your cohort of Appalachian prisoners because we can't figure out what you're talking about.
I think he said
uh,
likes to see homos naked.
n- I think one of my favorite Appalachia stories here are from the Civil War. Basically, like they didn't want to go to war, so the Confederates would try to go up there and recruit them, and they'd get shot at, and then the Union soldiers would try to go up there and recruit them, and then they'd shoot at them. They just weren't having it. They weren't fighting the rich man's war.
Are
Is that where
you
Cooter Brown is from? Is Tennessee the phrase drunkard and Cooter Brown?
I don't know, but I heard that my whole life.
I think he's from Tennessee. They said that that phrase come from the well, I don't know, one of the sides was trying to draft him and he said, he just got drunk as fuck every day during the Civil War, so he didn't get drafted.
is Crossville near Appalachia? Or no, sorry, is Crossville near Amish country?
Yeah, there's Amish, but like Pennsylvania and Ohio are more Amish than anywhere. But yeah, we had Amish. And
Are
they
there any Amish baddies? Like, do you see Amish chicks and you're like, damn, she got something under that bonnet, bro?
no, I don't think so.
Amish rockets out there
N-
sneaking around dressed all conservatively.
And then they used to live, well, we had the Mennonites, and the Mennonites used to live like right next to the nudist colony.
Oh,
I
fuck.
know.
Oh man,
Talk
they can't
about
go anywhere. They can't
what
go
a
anywhere without
zoning
breaking the rules.
conflict. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a nudist colony in my hometown, and you couldn't really see anything that was going on there. But my stepdad had to go down there a few times and work on some stuff, and they'd be out there naked playing volleyball and stuff.
Tanning their crank, dude. Every day. You're getting UV on your root chakra every day, the way the Lord intended, dude.
That's wild.
Shoot, sometimes it feels good to air out like that, you know? Get a little sunshine down there. Um, let's talk about chapter 16 of the book.
The resignation letter.
All right, you're still in my thunder a little bit. Chapter 16, the title of that chapter is
The
Resignation
resignation
Letter.
letter.
Yep. Um, so I think it was a little bit too well written for you to write, so I think you copy and pasted it into the book.
Fucking Ghost Rider, dude.
Yep. Um, I mean, pretty deep stuff. A little bit of it went over my head. Wasn't my MOS. It was,
He's 5'6". He's 5'6", y'all. That's why it went over his head. Damn, I didn't mean to hit you that hard, bro. The look you gave me right there. I'm sorry, man.
not 5'6", dog. I'm 5'8".
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey, I'm
dude.
5'7".
Hey, man, and if you straighten the curve out, mine would be 7.5 inches. Let's keep going.
But pretty deep stuff. So the resignation later, basically saying that you had a pretty tough job in the Marine Corps, almost impossible. I believe that. Sounds pretty tough. A
Yeah, well,
lot
I mean,
going on.
the joke about military intelligence is nobody's intelligent, but if you were going to war, not just Afghanistan, war, what would you want to know? Or let me re-ask that. Is there a limit to what you would want to know about the enemy?
Is that rhetorical? Or for real?
for real.
Oh fuck.
Well, we can make it
Hmm.
rhetorical. So I would say no. It, your plans change, your operations change. They're gonna reciprocate, go back and forth. So there's never just all right, here's the intel, my job is done type thing. It's always evolving, changing. Commanders, information requirements always evolving, changing. So it's never ending in that sense.
Yeah, and I think some more about this letter. It's like basically you couldn't have all the qualifications to be qualified. Talk about that. Like you need a PhD, master's.
Yeah,
There's
so
some other
okay.
ones.
Well, yeah, we can he had listed you need a PhD, an MBA, a PDQ, which was the post-deployment questionnaire, an XYZ and something else. So it was, yeah, you can't be too trained or trained enough. There's not enough formal schooling, that type of thing. Um, the guy who wrote that was the regimental intelligence chief. So for my first deployment, Gunnery Sergeant Axelos at the time, he was selected to be a first sergeant. So he was, leaving the intelligence field and going to that administrative discipline for the E8, E9 roles. And I think he was the second ever um, intel guy to become a first sergeant. Normally they go master sergeant and stay in the trade.
So you knew him personally, Matt?
Yeah, I served for the guy for 2.5 years.
Was it a legitimate resignation letter?
Mm, it was, I mean, he did it just for his intel shop. So he was going to be promoted to E8. So him being a gunny, E7, he was going to be promoted. He took a leap, um, kind of declared, I don't exactly know how the staff NCOs do it, but expressed some desire about going E8, about going the first sergeant route. And he was selected to be a first sergeant. So this was a really big deal. Like I said, second intel guy to ever be a first sergeant in the Marine Corps. And then we had just spent a year pre-deployment training and then a year in Afghanistan and like 3 months post-deployment. So two 2 years and some change. So he just wrote that up to for our shop. We went out to the Tilted Kilt to have a going away party, and he read that aloud just for us. He had won a meritorious service medal on our deployment. And it was like I had expressed in previous episodes, it was a really tight knit group of guys, great shop to work for, great team to be on. So he basically just wrote it for us, read it for us, and then he handed me that letter. So this was 2000, maybe, I don't know, January 2012. And he handed me that letter, and that was it. Just never, that was it. He just said it to us once, gave me the letter, and done deal.
He got out of the Marine Corps after that?
No, he picked up first sergeant.
Oh, okay.
So to
And
level
then,
set the information field here for the listener, the difference between master sergeant and first sergeant is when you are an E7, when you're a gunnery sergeant, you get a fit rep, which is a fitness report. You start getting them when you're a sergeant, you get them forever. But you put an F or an M on your E7 fit reps to denote if you want to go compete for the promotion to a first sergeant or the promotion to a master sergeant. And the difference being a first sergeant is the lower half of the senior what administrative enlisted in a given unit. So a company will have a first sergeant, and that will be the company commander's senior enlisted administrative advisor, where a master sergeant is also an E8. They're both E8s. They have different rank insignias. but a master sergeant is the lower of the two senior most experts in their field. So, like, say if you're an infantry master sergeant, you would be expected to be pretty highly knowledgeable, like a 9.5 out of 10 knowledgeable in infantry information, infantry data. Whereas like an E9 master gunnery sergeant comes after master sergeant. That's going to be you're super good, knows everything about infantry enlisted Bubba, and a sergeant major is the first sergeant's E9 counterpart, and that would be like a battalion or higher senior enlisted advisor for administrative concerns to a commander.
That is
Yeah,
right. Yep. So it was a big deal for him to go first sergeant. So I included that in the book just because I respect the hell out of that guy. Did then, do now.
So the
Um,
resignation letter, would you describe it as him being self-aware enough to realize like there's no I'm not Master Sergeant Intel material because Intel is such a nebulous role that it would be impossible to perform at a standard that I would expect. So why would I allow myself to go underperform at this?
I'd say that's about half right. That I mean, he was just shit hot in his trade. He was meritoriously promoted to every rank. I think even yeah, every rank. He was a gunny at 27.
A
Um,
meritorious gunny is rare. Like that's a hard meritorious promotion to catch.
yeah, so I mean, so he's just squared away Marine, great leader, but great at his trade. But like you're half right there about him. He always had that desire, or not desire, but a drive that he wasn't good enough, and he instilled that in us too. Like, hey, you can give me your best, and I'm going to appreciate it, but tomorrow he needs to be a little bit better. Um, so it was a little bit tongue in cheek, like, hey, I'm not that good. I'm actually shit hot, but I'm not that good, so I'm going to go, first sergeant route.
which
Listen
is
to those.
fine. Maybe more of a career move too. I think you get a little bit more options for different things whenever you go first sergeant. I mean, he did his time. Maybe he
That's the
wants to.
most self-aware first sergeant on earth. Every other first sergeant is like, I'm shit hot. It's like, dude, you know how to drill good. Please sit down.
Oh man.
Yeah, it like I said it already. It was a risk for him to be putting F on the fit rep. Only one Intel Marine, only one O231 had ever been selected for first sergeant. So he doubled down on himself.
How new of an MOS is your MOS?
So the last thing I would say about the resignation letter is it's in the book, and then just to sum the guy's character up, he had I think the way he ended it was. Um, realizing that I do not possess the necessary qualifications to be a good intelligence analyst, and realizing that there was only one person who could have ever done it, and that guy was crucified 2,000 years ago. It's now becoming upon me to leave the trade. Um, so it was cool. I mean, the guy was never, uh, I mean, best leader ever. I felt like it was almost like an older brother, father type of situation, but also knew fucking nothing about him and his personal life. So it was cool that, when he was saying bye to us, it was kind of like, hey, oh yeah, I'm also, strong in my faith and things like that. So that was just cool. But yeah, that's about it for chapter 16.
I think it's wild he wrote something. I think about the guys in my MOS, and I don't think they were writing much, and he wrote a very thoughtful letter. Pretty
Well, this guy
impressive.
had every intelligence publication memorized. And he would cut like, hey, he would ask us, what'd you do this weekend, Devil Dog? Like, just fucking played pocket tanks. What did you do, Gunny? I read pubs. And no shit, like he would just read pubs all the time. He knew everything about our trade.
I've seen engineers slap books out of other Marines' hands more than once and be like, fucking nerd, ow, slap that shit out of their hands. Not bragging, not a compliment, I don't think, really.
No, it's relatable a little bit though from our MOS to your MOS. Like as an engineer, there's so much. It's such a broad MOS. Like, and you get thrown into all sorts of these different situations where you're just figuring stuff out. Um,
Yeah, it's like, hey, engineer, build, destroy. Those two avenues are endless. The tasks that fall under that would be endless.
yeah, like the most broad one is general support to the infantry. You know, like that could be anything. Um,
Oh, I gotta crank this guy's hog as part of my MOS. That
you
sucks.
know, it was a trap one time. There was an infantry fella and he had a Skittles wrapper over his dick that was erect, and he was going through the little tent thing that we had and asking if anybody wanted Skittles. And then me and my Marines are like, "What the fuck is going on?" And those other infantry fellas got some Skittles, and it was weird. They're like, "Oh, there's no Skittles in here." Um, yeah, we did not support the infantry that day. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about chapter 17. I think this is my favorite chapter in the book. One of the things that you talk about, or basically that I inferred from the chapter, is like you gave pretty much everything that you could to the Marine Corps. You did everything you could in Afghanistan, and you felt like the generals did not do the same. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. I would say I wasn't, yeah, gave everything that I could. I was someone who drank the Kool-Aid. I would say that is no different than Clark, especially us being in Afghanistan together. So me, being able to attest. Um, and then let me say why I got out. One of the reasons why I got out was I could not justify whether based off of my um, fighting spirit, mental health, physical health, I couldn't justify being a net benefit to the Marine Corps. So I got out. Um, and that mentality was the way myself, Clark for sure, um, that's the way we served. Like every day, like this is, I'm in it to win it. There's nothing, no greater purpose, nothing else that I could do. Um, Nothing else that I wanted to do. So just whatever the Marine Corps was, and then obviously through, just the other chapters, you could see like if I had to die, then all right, whatever. That's just what is asked of me. So I'll do it. Um, so just like Clark, and I would say 99% of most other dudes that were in Afghanistan, especially when the bullets are flying, where it's like, who gives a shit while we're here or anything like that. It's like, um, it's just me and the boys until, we're return to base type of thing. So most dudes gave everything. On the other hand, you have the general staff, which is just super disconnected from the warfighter, the guy on the ground. So yeah, with I would say you are right to take away the fact that I felt as if they had let us down, but I'd say it's more like they just didn't serve their purpose. They were serving something other than um, those that were working for them.
I saw a friggin', I don't know, Instagram reel, and the guy was making fun of generals when they come and visit the troops. And it's like he has this fucking filter on his face, and it makes his face like super long, like this landed elite phenotype, you know. And he's like, so son, where are you from? Oh, Ohio. Huh? Oh, Buckeyes fan, are you? It's like, yeah, dude, why are you making fucking small talk with me? It's like, here, there's a coin there for you. Yeah, yeah, okay. Would you go back? Watch Buckeyes game for me. Like, what are you doing? Why are you visiting us? Why are you talking to? Well, you don't, you come, you go, you get your dick ground into the dirt for like a week because the general's coming to visit. Even in Afghanistan, like whenever high-ranking dudes come to visit, like we're living like fucking rats, living like actual vermin day to day, like with our MREs and smell like a dumpster behind a particularly busy hospital and like, oh, you guys, you got to figure something out for your haircuts. The general's coming to visit. It's like, dude, we got way more important shit. And then they come, don't really inspect anything. Their aide de camp or whatever explains the most rudimentary shit to them. Like the disconnect becomes so obvious right there when they're like captain that's with them is like, okay, sir, this is called a piss tube. What the poor people do is they undo the front of their trousers and insert, I believe, their phallus into the piss tube, and that's where they relieve themselves after they properly hydrate for the day. Okay, fascinating. It's like, what are you here for? What did you do today to make my job easier as I'm out fulfilling the commander's intent at my stupid E4 level, at my illiterate E4 level? Like I'm putting it all on the field, dude. It's blood, sweat, and tears here. What do you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, I had one general come, no, I guess two, one being Amos, but one other general come on my first deployment, and it was like, who the fuck is this guy's, some two-star, three-star from some other base in Afghanistan's coming, and it's like, okay, everybody put the best pair of camis on. Sergeants, go through the formation, make sure everyone's rank is squared or what, like just make, covered, align what, okay, right? And then, yeah, Amos came, that was something different. That was just like a one-to-one, heart-to-heart, like, hey, hard dog, keep at it, came out here just for you type of thing. So
This
that,
feels
that was
more and more
different.
like you dreamed it. Every time you describe it, it's more and more like you dreamed it. Are you sure? Did you buy that coin at a fucking pawn store, pawn shop?
No, I had that freaking Haji kid from the second deployment run to Pakistan and get it from us. He went
The
on
challenge coins are all enameled in
yeah, he
Pakistan,
went
as we
on
know.
dbmetals.com and got it for us. That's why it took an extra eight
The
days.
Amazon delivery box is located in Pakistan. That's why I had to go there.
Yeah. But to what you're saying, Clark, about when the general comes and it's, hey, what did you do for me today? When you said that, it made
Servant
me think,
leadership, bro.
yeah, it made me think of Alexander the Great being in Afghanistan and him it taken way too long or whatever, and his campaign had already been like 20 years or 10 years at that point, and a lot of his dudes wanted to quit, and they're like not a mutiny, not a rebellion, but they're like, hey sir, we want to go home, this has been a long time, all these Afghans are banging little kids, like let's just get out of here. um so anyways, they were telling him we want to go, and Alexander the Great had, so the story goes, taken off all of his armor, his fighting outfit, and just showed everybody the scars and said, "What have you guys done that I haven't done out here?" And supposedly everybody was like, "Oh shit, sorry, sir, the great." And yeah, so two different styles of leadership. One being where the leaders have skin in the game, and others where, you know, the leaders will smash your dick in a war zone because your rank has a chip on it. The metal piece of your rank
But yeah, it's like
has,
the general doesn't give a shit. He comes in, he's basically looking at fucking zoo animals when he comes in and inspects the fucking infantry camp. But
It's like
like
that now.
yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying. Like modern times, the general doesn't
yeah,
give a shit. He comes through and he's like, "Oh, hey, where you're from Erie, Pennsylvania. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, no, I've been through there once or twice myself." Like, what are you relating to, man? But then, before and after he leaves, like the sergeant major or the battalion sergeant major or the company first sergeant are just on a straight war path, and it's like, what good did this do anybody besides the weird the weird first sergeant who wanted to be an asshole because that's just what he likes to do. Like he's having the time of his life because he doesn't have to go home to his wife that hates him while we're in Afghanistan, and he's just gonna be mean to like E3s that are E3s that who have like blisters on their fingers from yesterday's gunfight. And the first sergeant's like, get a fucking haircut, Marine, because the general who could not give a fuck less is coming by tomorrow. And then, like, God forbid there's red air and it all gets canceled.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a general, I mean,
Yes. Here we go. Come on,
yeah,
send it.
you go
Cook.
down to a patrol base and you just see some raggedy ass Marines that would make me erect for like 10 years straight. Whereas nowadays, then-a-days is yeah, you got to have your clean camis and go cut your hair and if
It
if
exists on the worst in between of the spectrum. Like there's like the general comes through and you stand in a box and he parades in front of you or whatever, or you parade in front of him. Like that's one end. I would almost respect that more than I respect the modern meta of like general coming through type shit, which is like, hey, I know you good looking formation watch. On the command forward school circle around me, and then he talks like 36 decibels, and if you're 3 rows in the back, you're like, "What, dude? Sorry, we had a Miklik yesterday, and my fucking head still hurts, and I can't hear. So you got to speak up, Your Honor, or whatever."
Just the bad era of generals, though, for like the last 20 years. We didn't have a Schwarzkopf. And then you think like the Civil War, you had Lee, Longstreet, Stonewall. Like in the Civil War, like the generals made everything. There were a lot of good generals.
Which side was Longstreet on?
yeah, you
The right
cited
side. Um, but no, just
Names
the
3 Confederate generals, refuses to elaborate.
but like the Civil War, you think how much make or break those generals had. Like the good generals got a lot done. And then how far removed have we become from that today? Just bad generals. Like when you think of like the war in Afghanistan, nobody's thinking of like, I mean, you might think of maybe Mattis or somebody. I think Mattis had a lot of troop respect, but maybe other than Mattis, pretty much everybody is super forgettable. None of them did anything very memorable. It's a bad era of generals, in my opinion. Same for Iraq.
Mattis's respect came from Iraq. It came from more from him being at the front of the first Mardiv push in 2003. He rode on a fucking Abrams like out at the front, dude. That's people loved him for that.
Yeah, and maybe the General Patton case scares generals from being too good because maybe if you're such a good general, the government will just kill you in a vehicle accident after the war. So maybe they don't want to be good because then the politicians will make sure you don't come back home.
well, right around that time is when Eisenhower warned us of the military industrial complex, and then what I describe in probably the next chapter, so we can wait, but just to drive the war machine forward, you need just warm bodies in camis that wear stars instead of um, good solid leaders.
Military could definitely revisit some of their senior leaders. You talk about it in the last chapter. We'll move on. Some other things that you talk about generally are veteran struggles of when folks get out. I think we should talk about that for a good bit. I'm going to come out and say this too. Veteran struggles, some of what I have seen is a bit on the veteran themselves. Sure, the military, like if you go through some hard times, you could do it. But and this ties into my next point. It's kind of like you never transition out. I think some guys that fully transition out, that totally drop their packs, totally let themselves go, they stop giving a fuck about any single thing ever, then that is where you fail to transition out. And we've all had buddies that have done that. And then next thing you know, they're like homeless or whatever, and it's like, man, you can't totally give up on life just because you're out of the Marine Corps. And guys I knew that never had gone to combat just got out and just checked out of reality. And so
Yeah, I think that for most veterans, a lot of issues that you deal with post-service are shit that you never dealt with before your service. There is a specific type of dude. I think we talked about it like, I don't know, 6 episodes. There's a specific character arc for the guy that becomes a Marine. So I think just there's a lot of shit that you got to deal with that you kind of put off while you're in. And then, all that stuff comes back post service. And then maybe if you had a lot of shit to deal with during service, then you just have a double shit sandwich. But I would say you're correct in that a lot of it has to do with the veteran themselves and how they decide to move forward or not. But so I'll ask you, so since you didn't get the opportunity to deploy, when you read my kind of opening paragraph on transitioning and how I said GWAT veterans never fully transition, did that resonate with you? Did you think that didn't sound right? How do you receive that?
I interpreted it as like the GWAT's more specific, like specific to the warfighter. Never fought a war, but I kept a lot of the things that the Marine Corps taught me. Like try to keep your stuff clean. Um, Kind of like be proud of what you got. Like you might not have much, but keep it clean. Um, just being responsible, being on time. And like those things, I think I n never got out of me, and they're still not out of me. Like I try to be to everything early. Um, I still try to shave, not as much anymore, because friggin' razor blades are expensive, but try to keep up personal hygiene. I don't let my hair get too long, but I cut my own hair or whatever. But I think that's what I took it like. There's going to be a part of the military that sticks with you forever. I think the more you keep with you when you go into the civilian world, the more successful you'll be, in my opinion. I think the military sets you up for success to be a cut above or like a cut above your civilian peers, just from all the things that you learn, like discipline, self-accountability, like all these soft skills, I guess, that you're learning. You take that and apply that into the civilian world, and you're gonna be pretty good off, in my opinion. Other than dealing with just how the civilian world operates, where like if you work, you're a good worker, then you're just gonna get shit on. Um,
Yeah,
but
so I
yeah,
was going to bring that up, what we had discussed in previous episodes about just trying to integrate into a civilian workplace where they're like, don't work so hard, you're making us look bad, and that's incompatible. But everything you said, I would say the Marine Corps, the military, can give you a big leg ahead, maybe if you go into doing your own business, running your own kind of thing. But um, yeah, you could get run into some issues with the rest of the soft society, I suppose, in certain circumstances.
I think probably the worst thing for transitioning effectively, and this is, boy, this is a hot take. Like if we get like 3 shares on this episode, people are gonna be like, fucking, ugh. But I think the worst thing is in terms of making a transition effective for veterans is that the VA, I'm not beating up on the VA. They're the ones that do all my colonoscopies. I appreciate that. But they
I
don't have
told you I will do them.
I know, I know.
Keep going.
I couldn't afford the plane ticket, man. Anyway, is they don't have a separate track for like actual like combat deployment experiencers, vices, not because they're different. There's different needs for reintegrating into society. Like you can be like the best at boot camp and the best at the fleet and all that shit, but mentally, the subconscious effect of like having lived under the constant threat. I don't, it does something different to like how your brain goes. And granted, like the VA in Oklahoma City used to have, so it used to have I can't remember what it was called. It was like post deployment or something like that, specifically for like you for this version of their mental health apparatus. It was for people who had combat deployments. But they reverted back to a single track to where like anybody can go to that. And so like the problem is not, that Maynard goes to the same pipeline as me or whatever, or would go to the same pipeline as anybody else or whatever. The problem is that you have people that were so far removed from the expectation of like certain violent outcomes or whatever that it's not even a register. It register in their brain, in their mind as like this is what the military is about. And like the types I'm talking about. It's the people I see them on Twitter all the time. We're like, I was in the military. I was a fucking supply admin clerk in fucking some base that the army forgot about in Vermont or whatever. And it's like, you don't know the first fucking thing about an AR-15 because you were a supply admin clerk in Fort Duber, fucking Vermont. Like, please stop. Um, and so like, a lot of veterans that had combat experiences in their tenure in the service get disheartened by that and either remove themselves from the transition aid services sort of pipeline the VA has, or just like stop going. I guess that's the same thing, but it does a disservice. Like the veterans that, and this again, hot takes, I'm aware, but the veterans that deserve the most support from that system, and I would say probably the reason the system exists, back to the Civil War, are the veterans that got like mentally and spiritually fucked up from being downrange and what it boils down to is being scared you're gonna fucking die a lot for a long time, like over an extended period of time is kind of what I think it boils down to. But the ones that seem to benefit from it the most, like we had a kid from Seventh, Maynard, I can't remember what his name was. He was Alpha Company, but he piss hot for meth and did not get admin sept with like a other than honorable or whatever. He pissed hot for meth, and then he was able to coerce the system. Granted, this kid had been in like 16 months when this happened. He's able to coerce the system that he was self-medicating for PTSD from boot camp because his new squad leader had been his drill instructor in boot camp. And so he got a PTSD rating when he got out. He got mental health services from the VA when he got out, service connected. And it's like his fucking squad leader killed a dude in Iraq with a direct hit from a Mark 19 and got like a 20% rating for mental health when he got out. And then meanwhile, the meth kid gets like a fucking 80% for PTSD when he got out. It's like, where's this disparity? And I understand that you have a black and white instructions to decide what rating you give people, but the disability rating is a huge part of the transition process because it'll make or break you financially, which is it's not what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be the only thing you rely on for financial whatever. But I guarantee you, if I didn't have a disability rating, I wouldn't have a fucking apartment right now. Like because of how long I went between jobs after I got that layoff from veteran mental health fucking organization, by the way. Um, and like that's not to say that I'm the most veteran man alive or the most Afghanistan man alive. I had a fucking cakewalk on our deployment compared to you, Matt. Like my shit was a joke compared to you. Completely different experience for the most part. Um, but there's dudes that have 100% ratings that never left CONUS. And it's fucking how? How is that even possible? There should be a rule in the VA rating system. It's like unless you get aspirated by a fucking F-16 intake and it removes most of your brain, you can't get more than an 80% rating or whatever, something. I don't know. I'm not the
I'm
wizard
gonna
with the.
counter it a little bit. Say you were on Cherry Point in like the 1980s and you're drinking the tap water. that they some like that all those chemical weapons that they had buried
That's
had leaked into.
different. That's that
I know
that
that's
that payout comes from a different pool of money than
It's a
VA,
class
than
action.
service-connected disability. That money comes from a different set aside
fair,
in the
fair.
budget.
Could be a class, but say you get a VA disability rating from, I could see that. It's like, but I mean, my God, even like I think all the Marine Corps major installations had failed like the water test just in general.
I mean,
Like,
I
yeah,
understand. I understand where your like connection there is, but those are not the same thing. Like
yep,
if you live on a government installation, you're a government employee. Like if you're Mr. Maynard, the civilian who never ever went to boot camp, and you work, for the federal government, like digging ditches, and a shovel breaks and you accidentally impale yourself on it, like you're gonna get paid for that. You're
yeah,
gonna get
for
paid for
sure,
that.
for
I
sure.
get that. But I'm saying like the VA post-service pipeline exists, and it came about in the first place for what? Like widows and disabled and people who like lost legs and antietam and shit. And we've
Yeah,
moved super fucking far away from that. And it affects the outcome. It affects the quality of outcome for people transitioning. Like granted, there's so much nuance there that you can't make all this shit black and white. I get that.
no, yeah,
But there has to be a better model. It's just I it's also
yeah.
it's also an enormous facet of like the defense, the NDAA, whatever, the Authorization Act, the fucking spending bill for the military.
And part of it too is to stimulate the economy. They took it
If
away.
it
They
it should
took
I mean it shouldn't
VA
be
dis
too.
I know, but they did take VA disability away for a while. I can't remember if it was before or after World War II. I think it was before. And it removed so much spending power from the economy that I think it was another factor into the Great Depression.
Are you talking about like
Yep.
like enlistment bonuses from World War One that never got
No,
paid out? Is that what you're talking
no,
about?
no, no. It was like the basically like disabilities that they were paying veterans from World War One that they had cut out, and then it had major impacts for the economy, reduced spending power
I
into
mean,
the
that's one
economy.
example of the government robbing Peter for the dumbest fucking
Oh,
reason to pay Paul. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
No,
could, you
I
could, if
agree
you
with
want to
you.
talk about the government being bad at spending this week, okay, this is your news minute from fucking Brendan.
No, I
This
think
week,
we all know the examples that you're talking about. I knew guys at boot camp like that were trying to kill
no, I'm not
themselves, and I'm
talking
sure.
about boot camp right now. I'm talking about this week. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said that SNAP benefits are no longer going to be able to purchase fucking soda. It's like soda pop. And if you
Yep.
didn't know, it's like 20% of Coca-Cola's fucking annual revenue is from SNAP benefits. The government spends money in the most ignorant ass ways. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. You want us to stop sending 20 fucking infinity dollars to Coca-Cola? How about you take a look at how much your veterans are getting paid for their disability? And then all of a sudden I like flip sides on who I think is right about where money should go and stuff, but it doesn't matter. Let's move on.
I think that would
What
be something we talk about forever, though. I
I'll get
think the
I'll
ex
get fu I'll talk about it until fucking sun comes up tomorrow because it
no,
fucking
so
drives
loaded.
me crazy.
Yeah, I just think at times like if the government could not like the Marine Corps water stuff is what gets me is like if like just the regular tap water on base that everybody's drinking, presumably like these families are giving their babies on base, like they're finding like dead rats and shit in these water tanks. Pendleton had something like that go on. The water quality at Pendleton was like apparently god awful, and you can taste it too. I mean, I don't like even at like Lejeune or something like that. Water just tastes something's up with it. But I think the government should take just better care of their troops while they're in, and that might be a little bit of a thing.
That would go a long ass ways. That would go a super
Yep.
long way. Like I saw some shit today where it was again, this is fucking Twitter, social media shit, X. And they're like, an E1 gross income before taxes is like $29,000 a year or whatever. In 2020 in Joe Biden dollars. It's not very much. You're gonna buy like 6 ounces of silver with that. But in the comments, it was like, yeah, they also get free healthcare, free dental, free chow hall, free place to live. Have you ever experienced any of those things? Because Jesus Christ, Like, yeah, it's free, but the fucking salmonella that the Sodexo lady gives me in my raw chicken strips, that has happened to me more than one. To me, I'm just some bitch. I ain't even the king of being in the Marine Corps chow hall. Like, I just was in there once in a while. I hated the fucking chow hall, mostly because the Sodexo employees didn't trust them. Like military dental, like Matt was talking about, I don't know, Sunday or whatever. You got your wisdom teeth pulled out. Oh, were they impacted? Oh, were they making your jaw abscess? Oh, no. It was because the Navy dentists pull your wisdom teeth out. So they have reps pulling wisdom teeth out. So they get practice pulling wisdom teeth out. Mine were completely a non-issue. Nothing wrong with them. They grew in like normal teeth. And the Navy dentist was like, I'm taking that shit. Break yourself. And he fucking did. And I didn't get dry socket because dry socket's a myth, but also military fucking healthcare. Like, yeah, you get free healthcare. They said it totaled up to like 70K a year for a E1. Not the fucking case. Military healthcare is like you are so sick that you can't stand up straight and you're fucking probably high school graduate, we like to think, sergeant, is like, you fucking pussy, you're going to medical? I ought to beat your ass right now. I've been to medical 0 times ever because I'm not a pussy like you. It's like, hey, sergeant, so you know, I am fucking dying from dysentery right now or whatever. And you're telling me I'm a pussy for going to medical? Like, this is not part of my $70,000 benefit package that X promised me. Like they could take a lot better care of the douchebags that live in the barracks for sure and have better outcomes with the transition down the road because the people are not whatever problems comes from living in the barracks. Like you got problems, you got problems, you got problems from being in the military that you could should have gotten taken care of as a part of your $70,000 benefit package from being active duty. And you're still dealing with them today, Mr. fucking slip disc. You know what I mean? Like I got an ortho appointment next week because my shoulder's been fucked up since 2008. I went to medical. I got called a pussy by my enlisted leadership. I got asked by my warrant officer that I worked for as a platoon commander. It's a weird G6 situation. I don't like to talk about it. Why I was going to medical so often. And I'm like, it's because I have a actual injury, not like I got to go get a freaking, I don't know, ingrown toenail cutout. So I have an actual injury with like tendons and bones and shit. And they have to figure it out and they haven't. And then I just stopped going because I kept getting harassed to the point where I was like, it's not even fucking worth it. I'll just fucking play through the pain. Who cares?
Yeah, I think you could also, from what you're saying, with that benefit package and the quality of care you got, you have to separate that out by service as well. With the Air Force, I think you just have to be an E3 and then you automatically rate BAH, basic allowance for housing, basic allowance for food. So you get just more of a paycheck that way. In the Marine Corps, you have to be a staff sergeant if you're going to be an unmarried person to rate any of that. So what, in like 7, 8 years before you can get all that, and then Air Force, what is it, like a year and a half before you get that sweet compensation? But on what you're talking about with your shoulder, the quality of care is way different. At least in the Marine Corps, we're at 1-1. It's just go to BAS and a bunch of corpsmen are just going to talk a bunch of shit on you while you're there. There's zero medical equipment in there. They do have rubber gloves, and they will use those rubber gloves to put a catheter in backwards if you need an ID. And I'm not knocking corpsmen. It's just the nature of um, that type of service. So, I don't think I really got $70,000 worth of naproxen and Motrin because that's pretty much the care that we routinely got from the Navy.
I want to say on the BAH piece, that shit, like the argument, the natural like antithesis to that argument would be like, well, they have to spend that money on a place to live. Okay, you can spend your BAH money on a fucking mortgage, and then you're probably still going to bankroll some of it at the end of the day because it's a fair amount most places. Like it's enough. for some dickhead and his weirdly proportioned high school sweetheart to buy a fucking 3 bedroom house. And then they have an asset. And then when they get out, they have an asset. And then whenever they go apply for another mortgage back home, they have an asset. And that shit appreciates, especially now. If you would have bought a house in 2010 because you were married E3 in the Marine Corps, because it's the only way you're buying a house is in E3, that shit would be worth 4 times what it was worth then, right now. And if you struggle and play through the pain to retain that and not have to sell it at some point in between there, just the assholes that were in your platoon that lived in the barracks that didn't get the BAH are like, I don't know, living in a van down by the river. Meanwhile, you're like, I got this fucking $250,000 shack. All right. Granted, it's in fucking Temecula, but I'm about to sell it. And whenever I buy a $250,000 house in Oklahoma, I'm about to have the nicest house on the block and the nicest 3 bedroom on the block. And so it's like, you don't you the Marine Corps specifically, like what you reference, doesn't even give you the opportunity to manage the benefits that they supposedly are handing you in the same way that the other branches give you. And then when you get out and you're like, hey VA, I have a really problem or whatever, they're like, here's a crayon, retard. You fucking Marines coming in here. I know you guys are hard-headed and that's why you have trouble transitioning. Meanwhile, the guy that did 4 years in the Air Force is like, oh yeah, I'm actually buying my third house because of the equity on the house that me getting BAH from month 9 of being active duty in the Air Force allowed me to buy, is now allowing me to have my third. And I use them all for rent houses, and I live in a fucking nice van, and I travel wherever I want to go. I live the van life, and I'm a slumlord landlord. I don't know, dude. Experience is very pretty bad.
Well, I mean, back to transitioning. So this chapter, um, I summed it up as I reject the notion. Everything you said was true, Maynard. Like, you can absolutely make things difficult for yourself. Like the veteran can make things harder for themselves as they get out. Um, but I think those who just been forged through the fires of combat are just different. And I wouldn't want it any other fucking way. That's why I reject transitioning. Uh, I am different, and yeah, sure, like fuck, Uncle Matt is crazy at Christmas or whatever, and mainlines Alex Jones and whatever. But hey, that's just I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm different. I'll always be different. I'm grateful for that, and I don't mean different as in better. Like yeah, there's definitely days where things are fucked up for sure, especially so I was listening to this chapter on the audiobook uh read by Terry Shepard. Viewers should have bought it in the book and listened to it, but I was listening to this chapter in today on the way home from the duck ponds, and when I was talking about rejecting transitioning also because I would go back and do it again. So we did that. I would say there is an element of moral injury that still bothers me to this day. Not like weeping myself to sleep, but I know I'm gonna have to stand in particular judgment before God at when my time here is done. However, I would go back and do that stuff again.
I interpret it in my own way when you like that. And last thing that I wanted to talk about on this chapter, but it was like I reject the notion of transitioning. In a way, that's kind of what I did in my own way. It was like I didn't want to, like, I wanted to get out of the Marine Corps for sure, but I didn't want to be just your everyday fat civilian. Like, I didn't let myself go. I stayed working out. Like, I wanted to be still in fighting shape or whatever. What?
I seen what you did to them Oreos when you broke your leg.
Yeah, well, don't break your leg.
Don't break your
Um,
leg, folks. Let that be the
Especially as an
one key
adult.
takeaway.
I hope that's the last bone I break. But if I get my nose broke again, I'm not gonna complain because I'm gonna get it straightened out.
I liked when you broke your leg and then we went to the public docks to fish and you were like, feel the screw in my leg, and then it made me gag.
Oh God, I know. Now I can feel the plate, dude. I have to let you to feel this
Oh,
plate, and you don't
oh, fuck, dude,
break
Is
your
it
leg.
coming
fuck.
apart, or why can you feel it now?
I don't know. I could show you.
Hell
You want to
yeah.
see it? Here,
Yes.
let's take a look.
Dude, you can touch the screws. You can feel like the Phillips head on the screws. That's sick, dude.
There's the screw poking out.
That's very
Like,
cool.
but like right down here, you can feel the plate. It's like because it's hanging over the bone.
Hey,
I don't
take that
think it's
sock
coming in.
off. Let them dogs out. Let's
Oh,
have a look. Let's get a little feet finder going.
pull the muscle doing that. Shit.
I stayed in shape
Yeah.
after I got out. I
No,
did,
hey,
didn't
I
Staying
worked
fit
I?
in
out
shape.
today. I try to work out every damn day,
I
even
haven't been to
after
the
I've
gym.
worked
I'm
out.
wearing my gold sweater, bro. I haven't been to the gym in like 2 months.
That shit's nasty though. Yeah, don't break your leg as an adult. Or any, I don't think there's a good time to break your leg, but that was not fun. Um, I don't know. I just didn't. And I think this happened to me too. Like, in a way, kind of rejected transitioning. Like, I didn't want to be just another civilian. I think it affected me as far as finding friends outside of the Marine Corps. When that happened, like when I went back home to Tennessee, I could never really find a friend that was not a veteran of some type. Like that's how I found people I got along with was maybe they were in the army or some other branch, and then I got along with them better. But I never
It's
made,
not a coincidence, like
yeah,
Quentin. You know what I mean? I had no idea who this guy is. Sign up to be a veteran peer advisor at college. Get this list of people to email. One of them's in my class, and now he's like my best bud here, like outside the Marine Corps friend group. So I got a job now. Like, get in the room, meet veterans. Hey, how are you? Huh, huh, huh. What do you do? What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Hey, dude, I need a job. Freaking put me up.
yeah. And I just thought civilian dudes were just like mega pussies. It was hard for me to find a friend. I don't like. I'd rather have like, and I mean, y'all know me. I talk to you two and my mom and my wife the most, but like I don't have a lot of friends, but I'd rather take quality over quantity any day. Like I don't care about being popular in the civilian world or whatever. Never found civilian best friends. I just think that they're huge. Not all of them, but most of them are just big pussies in my mind. Like they're not people I would want around. Like if shit got bad, because I feel like they'd be more of a liability um,
There,
than
yeah, okay,
than an
there we
asset.
go.
Yeah.
You kept saying big pussies, and I was like, what, in what? Like, in what
And
context? But the context is like for me, like I carry a gun all the fucking time. And it's like I know how to use a gun. I don't want to, really. Depends which Walmart I'm at, right? But like civilian friends, like, why do you have a gun? What? How many
yeah,
guns do you have? Like, how many guns do I have? What, like in the car with us? How many guns? Like, one, probably. It depends what I'm doing, right?
kind of
It's
like
like
storm
it.
chasing, like got into that after the Marine Corps. And then there are, I mean, it's mostly civilians doing it. A surprising number of Marine Corps vets are storm chasers, but and some Army folks. Um, but like you tell civilians, they're like, oh my gosh, that is dangerous. Can't believe
Like,
you're gonna do that. And I'm like,
don't
I
you get
think it's so
scared?
much fun. It gives me peace. I don't understand.
Don't you get
It's just
scared though whenever the storm is out there
you're like,
though?
oh my God, I can't believe you
What?
do that. That is crazy.
Storm chasing's fucking lit, dude. I drove the immortal piss out of that Dodge that I had when we first moved out here when we would go.
Yeah.
And it's like you can just do it, dude.
It is just fun. I remember that October tornado off of I-44. That one time we're like sitting there looking at the storm. We like look to the left. There's like a little tornado like 50 yards down the road. Like, oh shit! And then we had to move real quick. And I don't know. It was just too much fun to me. But I don't know. It's hard to find that kind like the people that enjoy that um in the civilian world. It's like
Yeah,
safe and
even like the rowdier civilian buds, like you like, hey, you want to go? We're gonna go drive to fucking South Dakota to find a scary ass angry cloud. You want to ride? And they're like, I don't think so. I don't want to get sucked up and blown into North Dakota. Thank you. Just get in the truck, dude. We're gonna go to the
yeah.
gas station and get energy drinks and shit. It's gonna be fun.
It's hard to find a ride or die, like some buds that are like about it. I really like to do that hood rat shit too that you can never really let go after the Marine Corps. And it's like we're gonna
Mm.
yeah, not so much anymore. Kind of grew out of it, but let's shotgun 30 beers. I don't know. I don't know about that, sir.
We'll
But
fall
that's
into the fishing pond with all the beers in their arms.
yeah, or take the fucking canoe out in the middle of the lake at like
Bro, that's
3
how
a.m.
people drown, dude.
But the Marine Corps taught us how to swim.
As I'm treading water at 3 a.m. because the fucking jet ski flipped over while we're checking trot lines. Like, I think my flashlight fell out of my pocket, and I'm not going to swim down there and find it, dude.
Yeah, but I don't know. You couldn't really find friends outside of the Marine Corps like that, like those good friends. Still talk to like my best friends from the Marine Corps today because I just never found other friends afterwards. I don't know if y'all are the same. As
I
far as,
sent Sanchez a meme about fat chicks today.
oh, I love that.
Yeah,
He did too.
I did. I really did.
What about you, Matt? How was like getting out, finding friends or anything like that for you? Do you have any luck?
No, it's the same thing you guys said. It's just you can't really find kindred spirits outside of maybe law enforcement a little bit, depending. And that even depends on, the the cop that I'm closest to as a friend has killed a couple of people. Um,
Not at
which is
work, surprisingly, just in his free time.
yeah, well they were actually like Paul Harrell situations.
Oh, fuck.
Just any whatever.
Quick
Um,
moment of silence for Paul Harrell, maybe.
yeah, all right. Um, yeah, so that's the same. And I mean, even in when I was first going to college, when I got out, it was like just veterans kind of gravitate towards each other. Everybody else, I had a horrible attitude, and it was like, "Dude, who the fuck are you? You didn't serve that type of thing, whatever." So that was part of it. But also, like you're saying, it's just I think just part of having a preparedness mindset is I'd rather just surround myself around people that I can count on. Or like you said, not be a liability. So you kind of just flush that thing out, flush people out that way. Um,
We should clarify. None of us are like sheepdog, Beck the blue. Let me get my Punisher sticker. Like we're all fucking regular, degular ass dudes in large part. Just like I know how to put on a tourniquet good, and that is something that really keeps people from dying super effectively. And so like I have a couple of tourniquets in the truck. You would never see them unless like I got I've accidentally kept a strap cutter for my SIF issue one time. And I know that whenever people drive their vehicles into bodies of water, which fucking happens sometimes, the biggest thing is like getting hung up in your seatbelt. So I have a strap cutter attached to my seatbelt. Like it's not some weird like fixation that any of the three of us have, because I would call that shit out. I know Maynard would roast the fuck out of me if I was on some weird shit. But like the difference is that there's just like what do you call it, man? It's like piss and vinegar to you, you know? And I think part of the reason it's so hard to find friends that ride the tiger as hard as we do is because everybody that didn't join the military and get regular urinalysis got fried by drugs in their 20s. Well, meanwhile, we're just fucking hung over as shit in the barracks because it's the only thing we can do to like cut that to like knock that edge off on a Friday night or whatever. And then like spiritual cousins on the civilian side were like, "Hey man, you got a broken light bulb? I got some rock. Let's freaking get weird in the parking lot of a Flying J." And so they're kind of filtered they're kind of filtered out of like social settings at this point. Prison, rehab, coffins, that kind of thing.
Yeah. We talked about it in previous episodes too. There's like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of veterans just from our training, just basic training and combat lifesaver stuff, just basic combat lifesaver stuff. It's kind of like a real world, or we had our eyes opened up to a different type of world, one where, you know, if if things go bad, they're fucking horrible bad. And, other bad things that a civilian would say is bad doesn't even really register on our radar. Not because we're hard, it's just different. Uh, in my, I have, yeah, just I'm no Tim Kennedy, but I have a med bag in both of our trucks. I have a um, one of those things where if your kid is choking on some food, like vacuum for their mouth, suck
Mm.
that thing out. In the door of my pickup, I have a K-bar, a tourniquet, probably some old Zins, and then a paintbrush and a fishing lure. But yeah,
What's a paintbrush doing there?
Tickling the prostate is
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
the feather duster wasn't rough enough on
that's
those
right.
sensitive areas. You need to get a fucking horsehair paintbrush.
It's
It
just
wa-
good to have one when I'm working on a job and just have an extra paintbrush. Got to finish something up. It's just good to have one. It's a
Good on
cheap
you for
one.
being able to paint good.
It's no I don't know. Uh, it's not a $12 one. It's just a throwaway in an emergency type thing.
Every time anybody's ever asked me to do some paint work, like helping out on
It's
some
no
handyman
Wooster.
shit,
It's no Wooster. Go ahead.
I'm just like, I'm like, I understand that if I paint while you do that, this will be over sooner. But you need to understand that if I paint or stain while you do that, you're gonna have to repaint later. It's gonna be fucked up. If I stain while you're doing that, this shit is gonna look haggard. Please don't make me. But I can do a roller, like an exterior paint. I can roll the paint and stuff. But when it comes to like paint that people are gonna notice, like I did all those windows in Illinois a couple summers ago. I was like, I'm not staining, I'm not painting because you want the outcome to be like good looking. I will fuck that up. It will look bad. I don't know,
Mm,
Maynard. It seems like you're probably on the same track with that. Like I'm terrible at paintbrush painting.
No, and sometimes I do, like, I'll break shit on accident all the time.
like your
Um,
leg.
like my leg, yeah. Oh, yeah, like my
Mm,
leg.
big whoops.
No, like their daughter's little we had like this nightlight. It's an astronaut and like projects the stars. It's got like auroras and a plays sound. Got it from Target for like 30 bucks. Best investment ever. Like stopped working the other day and Steffi's like, "Can you fix it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try." And then I didn't have a screwdriver or driver that was like small enough to get everything out. And I was like, I'm just gonna bang the shit out of it to see if I can get it to work. So I'm like, bang, bang, bang. And like I hook it back up, still not working. So I'm like, I'll just bang it a little bit harder. I'm like, bang, bang, bang. And I put it back on, and then none of it works. And I was like, yeah, I fucked that up. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're just in painting in general, not a painter. I don't have a single like artistic gene in my body or musical. Um, can't carry a tune in a bucket.
Break, break, break. Time for a 5-minute gear check, boys. This would be a good time for you to like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and we would really appreciate it. Don't forget that we want to interview veterans, so reach out to us if you want to have your service documented. Let other veterans know too. You guys can use the comment section, our socials, or the podcast email. Find us and follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Substack. And go buy yourself a copy of War Business, The Hired Guns of Helmand Province, You can buy that on Amazon or through the Wargate store. If reading isn't your forte, then we've got you covered with the audiobook. Thank you for listening to this episode of the War Business Podcast, and we appreciate all of your support. Let's get you back to the episode.
I just wanted to say this. I want to get back on topic. We're bad about getting off topic.
We're good at it.
Transitioning, though, I will say this, and this will be for every vet. We can, I'll diss everybody. That's part of the military. Everybody's talking shit. Some Army guy is going to listen to this and be like, fucking retarded ass Marines. And that's like the good spirit of it. Same for the Navy. They'll be like, fucking retarded ass Marines. It's just everything. That's the fun of being a veteran. It's like these rivalries that apparently everybody has with the Marine Corps. And then the Marine Corps is like, you're nothing. But transitioning for anybody, I think, is just a weird period. Unless you never really left far from home, like you could go home on the weekends or something all the time, and it wasn't like you were really even in the military. I'm giving you shit. I'm fucking with you, Matt. But um, I think transitioning is weird for every veteran. Like life will never be the same when you sign that dotted line and you go away for 3, 4, 5+ years after that. Life moves on and it's just different, like for me, a lot of my friends got on hard drugs. It was never the same. Like I like to get rowdy and have fun, but like I don't want to do meth or heroin.
I don't want to
You know?
get one-shotted huffing spray paint. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
want to.
like that's not kind of the rowdy fun. Like maybe still like some street signs or something would be fun, but not that kind of fun. So it's just weird, and life moves on without you. Your family kind of moves on without you a little bit. I think a lot of folks experience that. Like you're becoming an uncle or an aunt. You got nieces, nephews. Just life is different from when you join the military and you get out. It's just different, and so I think there's like that adjustment period, and like the society changes quite a bit too. Like you went from the time you join, even in a few short years, like society changes kind of fast, and it's hard when you're not involved in that evolution actively. You're like removed and you're in the Marine Corps wearing the same uniform, like 1980s PT gear. And then like, I don't know, it's just weird. It just moves on. Attitudes are different. Society's just
Yeah,
changing and you
culture
got to jump back in.
definitely changes. From my pre-service to post-service, there was a world that did not have iPhones to the world of iPhones. So yeah, just society, culture definitely
Yeah.
shifts.
That's how I was gonna say. Like, well, I went to Okinawa in the end of 2009, and there wasn't like iPhones existed. There wasn't. It wasn't a fundamental part of your fucking person. And then when I came back, like in Okinawa, I had a flip phone, dude. It was a fucking NTT Docomo or whatever. And then I came back and it's like everybody had before I went to Oki, there was people like Kyocera Phantoms and like T-Mobile Sidekicks and shit. And like the data network was limited. You could stream some things, but not really good anyway. And then I came back in like 4G or 3G. I don't remember. 2011, I think 4G was around. I don't know. But it changed how people live their day-to-day life. And that was probably the biggest thing that I noticed in what you guys are talking about. I want to say one more point about the transition thing. And then we can tie a bow on that if you want.
I want
Well,
to
like
say
what
one thing too when you're done.
like what I'm saying is not that non-combat veterans, whatever, shouldn't get the same that like gunslingers get post-service from the VA, from the government support. But what I'm saying is that there's a different set of needs. Like granted, everybody that joins signs their name up to and including yap yap yap. I wrote a fucking will when I was 19. Who cares? But there's a different set of needs to almost like reassure veterans of like combat operations that you're not doing that anymore. Dude, you're back in the matrix. It's not scary here. You're not gonna get mortared on the porta shitter like they did on Zabruj one time. Um, you're in fucking Tulsa and you're at Target, dude. It's fine in large part. And like there's not Those what would be those services are kind of overcrowded by like I have PTSD because my drill instructor became my squad leader. I have to get an appointment with the psychiatrist at the VA as well. Like, anyways, I'm not gonna rail about it. I'm not a fucking psychiatrist. I don't, I'm not a scientist or whatever. I don't know what people's brains are doing. I know that me and Dakota and Matt, all three of us have some shit from being near explosions because that you don't escape that without having something physical in your brain change, like scar tissue and shit. And that is not addressed like at all by the VA. So I know
Yeah.
that. We talk about
Or
that later. We talk about that never. I don't care, but
you're at
I'll stop rambling now.
the Navy mixes your drinking water with fuel water. That's healthy for you.
That's good for you, dude. It builds character.
It gives you Gulf War syndrome. So you're talking about like when, like before and after you get out. When I joined the Marine Corps, people were listening to Toby Keith. You know, like you got to think I'm from rural East Tennessee. Toby Keith is a big deal. I get out of the Marine Corps and people are listening to Luke Bryan.
Oh God.
And I mean, it's just hard to get back into it, you know. It that sucks your soul away. I guess that's all I had to say about it. Transitioning weird times though. It's interesting, I think, for everybody, no matter what.
Yeah. I guess last thing I'll say was I was 5 years out of service, went back to the guy who wrote that transition letter, went back to his promotion to sergeant major, saw an old lieutenant colonel from our deployment. Lieutenant colonel, we were just catching up. He was saying he's getting out of the Marine Corps. I was like, oh, okay, what are you going to do? And he was like, I don't know. And you could tell it wasn't like, I don't know, I'm gonna just walk around the house naked all the time and just chill. It was like, fuck, I don't know. So, and it comes for us all.
Yep, can't stay in forever. One last thing too. So, Brent, when you were talking about like chill, you're at Target. Now, I was thinking when I got out of the Marine Corps and I went to college, I didn't have a lot of money and I had to live in the fucking hood. And there were more shootings. Like that was the first time I had ever heard somebody be shot to death. You know, like I don't know, 50 to 75 yards away. And so I don't know, like it was that kind of opened up my eyes of thinking like, shit, America might be just a little bit of a hellhole in certain places, not necessarily all over Oklahoma, but there's some rough ass places that are you wouldn't want to go to.
Yeah, no, you're right. I totally reject my fucking perspective from 4 minutes ago. You've
Yeah,
you've
it
completely
was
swayed
stupid.
me. Thank you.
It was stupid. Yeah, don't go to
I was
Compton and
longing, I was longing to be corrected by an anecdote, and here we are. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
if you go to Compton, you better turn that Afghan switch back on.
Break
You better
yourself.
shit, pie the windows.
Whoa.
Be careful. Don't stop for children that are needing help. All right, sorry.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
Yeah, you guys ready to push to
yeah,
last chapter?
yeah, and this will be another long one too. Probably, I like chapter 17. I thought chapter 17 is my favorite chapter, but I think chapter 18 is the most impactful chapter of the whole book. So, chapter 18, I think it's the most impactful chapter, and I'll get into that. But the title of that chapter is War is a Racket. First question for you. Where'd you get the title for the chapter?
Smedley Butler.
What a fucking softball. Dude, hit him with it. Is it true?
No, my last one didn't deliver. I'm not gonna hit you with the is it true? I'm not sure if it'll deliver. Basically, I called you a pussy for no reason last time, and I felt bad about it.
I already forgot about it, so don't feel bad.
No, I know you didn't. Wouldn't feel bad about it.
Actually, I went
And
inside and beat the shit out of
no,
my son about it.
every time you were, like you're talking about this gunny, and I want to be like, did you have a picture of him in his dress blues too? But I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Okay. Um,
Dude, you can slob your favorite staff NCO. It's fine. I will. All right, let me take the time. Let me take the heat off you, Matt. My favorite staff NCO. My favorite NCO was Sergeant Michael Solis. That dude, part Costa Rican, and we left the Marine Corps ball in San Diego with one of our boots as our designated driver. There was I'm not even I can't even fucking say it all here. Like I'm not going to. There was the unhoused population played a role. We were at fucking 7-Eleven at like 4 a.m. We tried to fight some ensigns from the Navy, and then the cops like Solis is like, I'll fucking kill you. And then we're like, you guys aren't in the fucking military. We were hard dogging them. We was in our blues. And then Solis is like, he tells me like, hold my blouse, and he takes his blues blouse off. And so I hand it to the boot, and I'm like, hold both blouses. And then the cops hit the lights and the siren in the street, like whoop whoop. And then the Navy cats were like, yeah, put your fucking clothes back on, you sick freaks. And then we were like, damn, now they can mouth off as much as they want because the cops are right there. And it is weird that we're partially unclothed in the streets. Like,
The quiet
anyways,
time
got
of
back to the
year.
barracks at daylight the next day. That was cool.
My favorite staff MCO gave me a brand.
You got a picture of
Yeah.
him in his dress blues?
No, no, he's got to be in jail by now. Last time I saw him, he dined and dashed at a Mexican restaurant right outside of Camp Pendleton. He got too drunk and just left, running out the door. And then I tried to go follow him for whatever reason, and he had shoved an old lady into a bush, and he was long gone. He could also run like a 3 mile in like 16 minutes because he'd be drunk as fuck at like 3 a.m. running in his gas mask on base.
This is my new favorite staff NCO. I don't even know what the dude's name was. Gray? What was his name?
No, I'm not gonna say it.
Word. I
Um,
get you. I got you.
yeah, crazy, crazy dude. He'd get a nosebleed anytime he did anything bad. Like when I'm not gonna say it, but we would do bad stuff, and he would get a nosebleed.
Thanks, Maduro.
Real.
Uh,
If you know, you know.
all right. So, chapter 18, quite a bit of reflection going on in this chapter. You're reflecting on some different things, and it's a theme of the book. Um, the generals fucked it all up. And so, when I say that this is the most impactful chapter, you called the generals fat. You put them on blast, which they are portly fellows. I don't know if they have like rewards points for little Debbie cakes, but I mean, why are they so fat? Like you get maybe in there's no way like that you're in physical fitness standards to be in the Marine Corps, even at that age and be that fat. But I guess when you have that many stars, you just tell them what your height and weight and PT scores are, and you get to stay in.
Hegseth put him on notice,
That's what I was
allegedly.
gonna fucking say. PD, I'm pretty sure read your book and then delivered this chapter to their faces.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, social media is crazy, you know? I don't know that Hegseth read the book, but I think that these are pretty common, pretty fucking glaring issues. And so, like, as the guy that's in charge of the Department of War, Department of Defense, I don't know. I saw a newsline today. It's $125 million to change everything to Department of War. Like it was a bad thing. Wait till you hear about how much the government pays for daycares that don't have any children in them. But anyways,
Yeah,
it's
let Matt
pretty
go.
obvious issues.
Elaborate, Matt.
yeah, I don't think Hegseth read the book. But the three of us were pretty hyped on it when he did give that speech because it was like 72 hours after the book hit the market. And then he knows Hegseth is buddies with the guy who narrated the book. So it's like, maybe, but yeah, he probably didn't. But one of you just said it's a glaringly obvious issue. It is to pretty much anybody in the military, but it is something. I mean, one of the reasons why I went so hard on the generals in the chapter is just, the boomers, the Gen Xers, like they just have zero knowledge of how fat and incompetent the generals are at this time. And they just think, oh, well, they're generals, so of course they're going to be good and squared away or whatever, but that is just not the case.
Yeah, not the case at all. And people can be like, "Oh, you're fat shaming or whatever," but um,
There's
to
a
me,
standard.
it says a
It's
lot
not a
about
personal.
somebody. If you can't take care of your own self and you let your own self go, how are you taking care of anything else? Just how I look at it personally, like you can't let yourself go like that. And then
It's a
to do
servant
it,
leadership thing to me. There's a standard. It exists. I don't know what the standard for a dude that's been in for 37 years is. I don't know what his physical fitness standard is. I don't know his height and weight standard, if it even changes. But I know that some 19-year-old corn-fed fucker from Iowa or whatever is in there getting taped. The guy can bench press a fucking planet, and he's in there getting taped because he's outside of weight standards every 6 months, but he's taping at like 7% body fat, and he's just a straight up monster. And the same dude that's like, hey, take your 240, put it on that position over there, and kill everybody that comes up that draw is like out of breath scoping out the fucking gun line. You know what I mean? It's not, it's a servant leadership thing. Like you have to reflect the same standards that you expect.
when y'all sent me on that special purpose MAGTF I can't remember if it was the one in Hawaii or the one in Los Angeles, but it was getting close to when I was getting out. And then we're doing this dog and pony show for the SecDef to show them marine capabilities aboard ship. And the Marine generals that were there were the fattest and most out of shape generals. Like the Air Force generals were at least lean. So, like you could respect them, but like there were two three-star Marine Corps generals that were micromanaging this event, and it looked like they needed maternity camis because they were that fat.
Are you saying men can get pregnant?
I'm telling you, men can look pregnant when you don't take care of your body, but man, that was embarrassing, and like if you're junior enlisted and you're fat like that in the Marine Corps,
It's your ass, dude. You're
oh,
toast.
you'll kill yourself.
You're
Like
having a
you can't
bad
live
day
that
every
way.
day. You're having a bad day every day.
Yeah, like you could be if they even look fat and you're in the Marine Corps and you're like walking to the PX and I was a buddy with the or buddies with a corn-fed guy from Iowa like you're talking about. We're talking about the same guy.
I didn't
Yeah.
mean, but yes, no,
Yes.
that is,
But
yes, I didn't mean to specifically allude to him, but that allusion works really well.
like in Okie where we couldn't have cars or anything like that until you're E5 and then maybe you could get a car, but people would drive down the road just because they thought he was fat and be like, "You fucking fat fuck." And it's just like, "Oh my God. But if it's a general, you would never dare say anything. Just
It's so
totally.
funny because I seen that dude pick a boot up off the ground for not saluting our really good company commander.
I used them as a ladder. You remember that? Like when we were
No,
building that shit? Because like, I'm a little bit vertically challenged and we need to hammer some shit. And he's like, dude, here, just get on my shoulders. So I'm like
dog,
on
just
his
climb up, dude.
Yeah. Oh man. But these generals, they weren't corn-fed boys from Iowa. They're just
Yeah,
fat. They're on the little Debbie cakes is what was going on with them. And
half rats, dude.
they can't take care of themselves. How they're going to take care of their troops? Kind of the same thing that we push to other Marines or whatever. It was embarrassing though. I remember feeling that embarrassment of like the Marine generals here. It was an embarrassment.
Yeah, probably shocking to the uninitiated, but that it's sad but true.
And it's not just that they're fat. I think it's also poor leadership. Um, and just a total detachment from reality. You all have touched on it, and this is a Marine Corps thing forever. The general says he's going to come. Everybody cleans everything, and you put on this facade of everything is great here, nothing to see, sir. But it's not true leadership. It's like a commonly called a dog and pony show, but it's a facade. It's a fake thing. The generals never see like the reality of anything. Um, and I think that affects their leadership and just like we're treating generals like gods, but generals should be able, in my opinion, to see the reality of what's going on and then make corrections that way, and then be able to lead. from the front instead of the back.
Would they?
Well, I mean, I talk about this in this chapter, maybe the last one, but you have the issue with the leadership for at least the GWAT. So Iraq and Afghanistan, you have a revolving door of generals every year. The war strategy changes. I mean, how could you appoint someone who's good to go to take over for a year? Wouldn't you need, someone who's half retarded or just half checked out to be like, hey, you're going to go here for a year. You're not going to win. And, you know, we'll give you a good big thumbs up afterwards. I don't know who's the right person to fill that pair of boots.
But it's such a broad, like there's so many concerns whenever you're in charge of like fucking Marines in Afghanistan, you're in charge of all the Marines in Afghanistan. So what? You're in charge of infantry, obviously. You're in charge of the air wing, obviously. You're in charge of logistics. You're in charge of all these things. You're gonna tell me you're gonna step on deck, totally prepared day one, come out of the gate, come out of your corner swinging, and then day 365, you're gonna know the same amount of shit about your AO on day one as you know on day 365. I would posit that after a year on any job, you still don't know fuck. You don't know piss about what you're doing. And it's like, okay, well, I didn't just wake up as a general one day. No, you didn't. But like, if I went tomorrow to go work hanging fucking shingles, it would not be the first time I ever went and hung shingles. Not be the first time I ever used a hammer, not be the first time I climbed a fucking ladder, but I would have to work with that fucking construction company for a while to figure out what was going on. And the only job I would be doing is hanging fucking shingles, not being in charge of how much fuel the air wing has on standby in case some bad shit happens, and not being in charge of who's allowed to throw grenades in the combat areas.
Yeah, so
The
there's that piece, and then the boccebazi practice.
Bro,
Okay, so this is just a cultural practice where Afghan men have their pick they all have like a 8 to 10-year-old boy that they have sex with. They call this practice boccebazi. This was not a secret in any way to um, a 19-year-old Lance Corporal or, however old a fat general is, wasn't a secret to them. So how that person that fills that role in the general shoes also has to be someone who's like, yeah, I'm just going to turn a blind eye to this and I'm going to go, I'm going to NJP a Lance Corporal for bringing porn to Afghanistan, but also I'm going to go eat dinner with this Afghan general who has a harem of boys that he's going to have sex with after our meeting. What type of fucking person is that?
yes men, because these generals get to that position by being yes men. If you know, you don't get to be a general by making waves places or being like bringing up issues. I would say you get to that rank by sucking a lot of dick and being a yes man and never questioning anything. I think this is the truth. I don't know if you all agree on this
Well,
point or
yeah,
not.
they go through the great filter, and that filter starts at, the colonel level, the O6 level, and a lot of good, a lot of leaders who should become generals get forced out at the colonel level, and then uh, every level of general after that, you just keep weeding away. In other ways, I've referred to it as the retardation dilution. You just need someone more and more incompetent, the higher they get up to continue the facade or whatever. Um, And yeah, maybe they did suck a few wings. Maynard, I don't know. I wouldn't doubt it.
I think it's safe to say that some of them have literally done that to get their positions. And I don't know, they're just different breeds of people. Not the
Yeah.
kind of people.
Completely different conversation, not at all related to what you're saying, Maynard. Michael Aquino, that we talked about offline earlier, authored a book. Matt's laughing because he knows that it is a totally, completely unrelated topic. Michael
I was going to
Aquino,
bring this up. Sorry, go
he
ahead.
authored a book with the Major General. I can't think of the Major General's name, but I'm here to say, like, completely not related to this topic at all. But Michael Aquino, probably a power bottom. Aleister Crowley, known power bottom. Michael Aquino as an acolyte down the road 50 years later. Emulate the people that taught you how to do your job or whatever. And he writes a book with this major general, dude. Totally unrelated, but to your point.
I would Google these people, but I don't want to get weird advertisements on the internet when
I
I'm
don't even think
watching
the
them.
algorithm has ads tailored to that because it is so far down the rabbit hole, dude.
You'd be surprised. I've been studying up a lot just on random different wars. Like the Russian-Japanese War of like 1901 to 19, or I can't remember if it started in 1901. I think it ended in 1905, the one that Teddy Roosevelt got the Nobel Peace Prize for broken the peace deal. But the Chinese or the Japanese had whooped the fuck out of the Russians because these Russian generals were so detached from reality. And then Chinese Civil War too. Mao whoops the fuck out of the Chinese government forces because their generals are so delusional. They're absent. They never watch their troops like fully trained. They don't understand like the full integrations of their army. And then Mao's like over there on the front, just out commanding the shit out of everybody, and then pushes the government to Taiwan. And of course, we'd be their allies today. Like we always got to be the allies of the people who couldn't do it right. But and like the more you look into the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's like these, I don't know if they just decided that they're going to take the bad generals playbook from like all these wars that have been lost for the last 100 years where the generals were just terrible. And they're like, yeah, that's what we're going to do for these wars. But it seemed
I
like it.
I think it's more of the pay to play thing. Just there are certain people that the general who assumes command of NATO ISAF forces, uh, he's a figurehead, and he's there's someone stringing him along. Uh, you saw it a lot with when General McChrystal was trying to take over, and he's like, "Hey, I need X amount more forces," and then people from the State Department were, "Yeah, I know we put you in charge here, but we're not going to give you that. You say you can win Afghanistan, but with more troops, 40,000 more troops, whatever. No, that just looks bad for our image. So why don't you just go do a little of this or a little of that?" So he was famously ousted, um, whatever. But I would say most of the other generals, they just they're just towing the line that somebody else has. You look at H.R. McMaster, and then he gets leaves service, and then he's head of a Chinese tech company. He's a board member of a Chinese tech company. So that's his, reward for just, hey, just go along. We want to spend some money, do some stuff here and whatnot, and just go along with it, and we'll make sure you're taken care of on the back end.
And this gets into the war is a racket part. At times I wonder if we're fighting wars for good things. I think about this too, like Obama, like we're going to draw down the forces. I'm going to pull troops out, pulls troops out, backfills with private contractors or mercenaries is really what they are. I don't think that's talked about as much. I think the army mingled with them a little bit more. How much mercenary interactions did you guys have while you're in Afghanistan?
We had interactions with PMCs, but they weren't like running and gunning type of PMCs. The
Right.
contractors that we ran into were, you got to realize like private military contracting runs the gamut. And when you're talking about mercenaries, that's one facet of the whole broader picture of PMC work.
But they're standing post usually from most of the accounts I've heard. Except in Iraq in the early days where they really fucked some stuff up that cost everybody dearly. But for the most part, these PMCs are standing guard from, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they'll stand guard on post somewhere. And they will make no less than six figures for being there for whatever their duration was. But it's basically used as a tool to not have your regular military there. So you can say on paper, we only have 60,000 troops in Afghanistan, but then you may have another 120,000 contractors that you don't have to tell the American people about, but the American people are still paying for, so that it can be basically like a political game. And they're making a shit ton of money. And I'm sure they're paying off the politicians to allow them to be there, in the first place.
Well, it has a lot more strings than just that because you have private companies. I don't know, fucking name any names. But you have private companies that have assets, supplies, like logistical stuff, support type things. And it's like, okay, well, you have, say, we'll take the aerostats as an example. So, like, you have this ISR blimp, dead ass useful, bro, like, super good piece of gear. Somebody has to employ it. So, okay, the company that owns it, maybe called Aerostat, I don't know, employs some civilians that have experience doing ISR stuff from their military time, whatever. So they come and they're making buku bucks, and there's like seven of them or whatever. But then you gotta supply them. Like the Aerostat company has to supply them. So they subcontract another vendor that brings eggs to Afghanistan. This is our Aerostat guys had fresh eggs, like hella of those, which I thought was crazy. But anyway, so then you got a convoy with a bunch of fresh eggs traveling through Afghanistan to go feed the Aerostat guys. And so you have a choice to make. Do you put a bunch of Lance Corporals on the up guns on the front of the convoy, and then whenever they get waxed in like a complex IED ambush, you got to send a flag home like they were guarding eggs and they gave their all? Or do you give more money to the contractor that runs eggs back and forth to guard the eggs? And then, well, we're doing a drawdown, and these guys that have been guarding the eggs, their convoys have been reasonably safe, like statistically. What if we expanded their roles? And so then you run into like this like snowball effect of what work they contract out. But the original thread was like, well, we got to supply our civilian contracted support assets, and then they've got to supply their human assets, and then they've got to guard that shit because the Iraq insurgency, the Afghan insurgency wants to blow up every truck that's not Iraq or Afghan. What do we do, you know? And then, like I say, it all makes sense in the small scale, but then at scale is where it starts to be like, what the fuck are we doing?
$2 trillion. Sorry, just real quick, Matt. $2 trillion for 20 years of war in Afghanistan, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we really do not know. I would say that's on the low end. We really don't know because there was a black budget. So you had the DoD budget, and then you also had it was called JIADO, and JIADO was this overarching blank check. And um, when your unit was deploying or contracting companies, when they needed cash specifically for the war effort, that funding would come from the JIADO budget. So the Joint IED Defense Organization or whatever budget. So That was a black budget. And then you also have how much was this? We don't even account for what the CIA spent over there. So yeah,
And
it's
they had contractors as well. Like they contracted out their role, and the paramilitary role, it's like classified, you know? So like who knows what the
so
fuck.
we were given Afghans tractors. Like, hey, maybe don't shoot us so much and don't blow up poppy or don't grow poppy or whatever. We're going to give you a tractor to farm something else. And I think we were paying around like $100,000 per tractor, and that's buying it, getting it overseas, and delivering it to them, and then you have hey, civil affairs buying off, locals for this and that and spreading money out here for that. So anyways, I think it was I yesterday I saw General Flynn had said it could have been anywhere up to 10 trillion that was spent for Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Yemen. So the 20 years of Middle East wars. So anywhere from 2 to 10 trillion. But I think a real big fucking problem here is nobody knows.
And the difference between 2 and 10 trillion is a fucking shit your pants amount of money.
So yeah, and then back to, I mean, with the contracting side,
Mhm.
something that was sinister, and I did write about it briefly. I touched on it, but we had on the larger bases like Camp Dwyer, Camp Leatherneck, Bagram, Kandahar Airfield. There were American contracting companies were in charge of cleaning the shitters and doing servicemen's laundry and base upkeep, maintenance, things like that. Um, and these contracting companies were knowingly using slaves to clean our shitters. So what was happening was like in the Philippines, these people were, you know, people in the Philippines were told like, hey, we're going to go work a job and for a couple of months, this and that. And then they're like, okay, yeah, I'll work for this company. Well, that company was a subcontractor for, I'm not going to say who, but that Filipino winds up in Afghanistan cleaning shitters and has no recourse to get home. Um, and there was a big, what do you call it? Congressional, whatever Congress does, circle jerk about it, grilling these contractors to no avail. Like, hey, why are you guys using slaves? Anyway, so I bring that up to say that's some of the shit that I would have to, you know, stand in judgment for. Obviously, I wasn't hiring slaves, but I'm like, I fucking love this war. And yeah, slaves were cleaning my laundry. Um, as awful as that is to say, but just the truth. But also, the generals knew about this shit too and didn't say a damn thing about it.
It's that racket part, though. It's like probably the United States government saying, we'll pay you $20 million a year to do everybody's laundry at Kandahar Airfield. They give that check to some guy. He probably pays the people below him $60,000 to do it, whatever. And then like it trickles down, then they're like, yeah, we don't have to pay any of these. We'll just get slaves to do it and we'll bank all this money ourselves.
Yeah, go get
And
someone from the Philippines who's used to making like $7 a week and bring them over here and they, you know, can't get out of it. Yeah.
and it's kind of like the aerostat thing too. Like, God forbid they just sell that technology to the military has it and operates it, but then you could not maximize your profits if you did that. If you had the military operate it, then they couldn't say, well, we need, $400 million a year to operate all these aerostats on the FOBs. CEO takes 100 million, trickles down. Those contractors get like, I'm sure bank probably like three or $400,000 a year to operate the aerostat.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
then every single year, Eric Prince was talking about this on the D about regarding the DoD procurement process. And it's every single year, even though you're rendering the same service, that contracting company charges more every single year. So they win that sweet, sweet contract year one, and then, by goes on for years and years and years, and every single year the American taxpayer pays more.
Yeah, and they're like, oh gosh, I don't know how we're going to pay for this. We better take it out of the Social Security fund that, Americans have been paying it for decades and bankrupt that. So then, future generations of Americans can't, I mean, there's obvious flaws in that, but yeah, there won't be any money left. Why?
I
Because we
never
pay.
thought about it. I never thought about it like that, but I got to go to Afghanistan with my buddies, and my mom never gets to retire because Social Security's been fucking gutted. Sorry, that was selfish of me.
But
Yeah.
it's like we're not going to deploy the Marine Division to the Middle East anymore. But we'll bring in a bunch more contractors at, probably 50 times the price of what it would cost to deploy the Third Marine Division to fill in these roles, for example.
And I mean, it goes back and forth. It's like, hey, I know you're running for, you want to be re-elected in your district or for presidency. So yeah, well, you give us some sweet money, and you could say, you're drawing the war down, you're bringing troops home, and you pay us top dollar, and we'll send civilians there in their place. So, it's a win-win for both of us.
And how many presidents promise to end the war and then they don't? Probably because they're getting a big chunk of money to their campaign donations or to the Clinton Foundation or whatever foundation that they have that's a tax write-off that these companies are donating to. And they're like, we're going to end the war. We're going to tell you whatever you want to hear to vote for me. But then they don't end the war because they're making a lot of money off of it because the American taxpayers are paying all these private military companies to be there.
I think the most sinister of it was Dick Cheney, and he was what board member was he? What company was he a part of before he became
Halliburton.
vice president?
Halliburton.
Halliburton, and then we go invade Iraq, and then Halliburton's getting all the contracts to rebuild Iraq, and he's still on the board.
And Halliburton's still in Iraq.
No,
And look,
he got bought out. He got bought out of Halliburton before he took vice president, but it was like a fucking lot of money.
All right.
on that note, look at the density of oil wells in the United States. The density is spread out. Like you're not gonna even in like around Midland and Odessa, like that's high density oil fields. You got wells that are pretty close to each other. I'd say maybe every couple hundred yards you see a well. Go look at Iraq at those oil fields. It's an insane number of oil wells that they have there. I mean, they are trying to suck that dry as fast as humanly possible. And then they like to do it too because then you don't have to worry about EPA regulations like flaring off your gases whenever you're drilling for oil like you do in the United States. In Iraq, you don't have to flare nothing. Who cares? It ain't your country. Just and they're really trying, and they do it in Syria too. Look where Halliburton operates in Syria, and
Yeah,
those
but did
densities of the oil wells.
did gas get cheaper or more expensive post-war?
Uh, oh, I mean, obviously more expensive.
It was like fucking $5 a gallon
I remember.
When Bush was president the second time.
And when
Like
Obama was president the second time,
if we had went to Iraq to rip them off for their oil, that would have made more sense than why we allegedly went to Iraq. But I don't think that we ripped them off for their oil. If we did, it was the shittiest fucking hold up. It was the shittiest stick up you ever heard of.
well, nonetheless, Halliburton did not squander the opportunity. The worst part about Afghanistan is we didn't even get nothing for it.
I already told you it was about the friends we made along the way.
Yes, for sure. But I'm sure for you all, it's upsetting because you're trying to fight the good fight. You want to defend America. You're there for the right reasons. But our government is there for the wrong reasons. You could argue, like the initial part, in the Taliban's just like a side quest almost. The main focus is really Al Qaeda. And then it's the Taliban. And we whooped the shit out of Al Qaeda. Like in 2 months, two-thirds of Al Qaeda is gone. Al Qaeda never recovered from what happened in Afghanistan. We whooped the fuck out of Al Qaeda. but then it's the Taliban. There just needs to be an excuse to keep the war going. We need to train the A&A. We got to get them ready. And it just lingers on for 20 years. The last 4 years, I don't even know how they justified it, um, other than just to make money.
We were partners with Al Qaeda for in the Syria, Yemen, Libya fights against ISIS. We were partners with Al Qaeda while we're fighting the Taliban. And we're fighting the Taliban because they harbored Al Qaeda. So we're told is that's why.
Yeah, but basically whatever they could do just to make money. It's that racket part. Eisenhower warned against it, and damn, we did not listen. And then we have what we have today.
We
So far.
did. Well, the executive branch did listen. And then the lesson learned was that you can't ride a drop top through Dealey Plaza. Put a roof on your freaking car if you're going through downtown Dallas.
That is probably still true to this day. I'm just on a different note there, but if you're going through downtown Dallas, lock those doors, y'all. That place is really looking interesting over the past few years. And just a lot of money to be made, but you guys go for the right reasons. I
Because
don't
we
know.
look good wearing a Kevlar. I think I look good wearing a Kevlar.
Matt was like, I look taller for a change. I better stay in and
Hell yeah.
keep it
Fucking
going.
And I
Um,
love breakfast menu MREs. Meat, fucking cheese and veggie omelet. Dish delish.
it's just crazy though. Everything that happened in Afghanistan, we're gonna draw down the troops. We're gonna backfill with I say mercenaries just as a loose term, or private contractors if we want to make it not sound so bad, but and then we're going to pay them. It's just political games and money scams and blank checks. Never really winning the war, or it was never really about winning the war the right way. I mean, we're paying off warlords with backpacks full of cash, which for a long time, if you spoke about it, you ended up, and I know a guy in the army that accidentally oversaw a transaction of a backpack full of cash up north near Mazariya Sharif, near Kunduz, and had saw a captain give a warlord basically a backpack full of cash. And then he got brought back and was questioned about it. And they're like, "Did you see anything?" He's like, "No, I didn't see anything." And they took him away. What else we want to say about war as a racket?
well, do you think that mentality has ended?
No, but it's better.
How is it better, or why do you think it's better?
And I'm an independent, registered independent, but like Trump putting pressure on the defense contractors, basically saying like, yeah, you can't drag us along forever and we continue to pay like infinite prices. Like you got to up your production, which is another thing. And we could have some really interesting folks on here that would probably talk for 10 hours about how these private defense companies are basically stringing along our Air Force and why our Air Force is really only at about 25% readiness.
In February of 2025, Trump was saying he was going to talk with Russia and China to reduce the three countries to reduce our respective DoD budgets, our military budgets by 50%.
And he just upped it by 50% earlier this week.
And and this week it's taking it from 1 trillion to he's asking for 1.5 trillion for fiscal year 2027.
Patriots are in control.
So, do you think that contractors listen to him?
Oh no, man. I mean, there's some lessons. I think, he's putting the pressure on him like, okay, you can't do it as much as you've been doing, but they play the game. I mean, they know the United States government writes the blank check. Money's imaginary. Um, if you wanted to become filthy, stinking rich, then probably a defense company is the best way to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I asked the initial question about whether you think that is the standard playbook or do you think it's changed or whatever, just because of obviously we're going to enter into new wars. So do you think it's for the right reasons or do you think it's for more grift? I take the latter position.
I'd say it's a little bit of
I, I,
both.
I wouldn't even, I would go so far as say that there hasn't been a war in the 1900s through 2026 that America's participated in that we should have been in.
What about conflicts?
Elaborate.
Grenada is what I was gonna say.
I don't know. What
I don't know. I
should we
mean,
have
they're messing
backed?
around. I don't know. Or like in Panama too, like Panama becoming wild and friggin' pineapple face. What was his name? Noriega. Noriega got a little bit. That's what they called him. I'm not making it up. His name was Pineapple Face. Look at a picture of him, and you're like, oh God. That's like the worst acne scarring I have ever seen in my life. That dude must have got bullied so bad throughout his entire life. He is like, no, I'm gonna become like an evil dictator general. But I don't know. Noriega was getting kind of wild, and you threatened the Panama Canal. We built it. We um, took a little bit longer to get him than it did Maduro, but about a month later, we have Noriega captured and go spends the rest of his life in jail. And then we dismantled their entire military and was like, do not ever fuck around in the Panama Canal again. I think that
Now the
one,
Chinese own it.
I was gonna say, how'd that work out?
I mean, they backed off a lot. I'll give Rubio props on that for the pressure he's put on them. Because, I mean, they found out the first time, I think, well enough to know, like, we probably shouldn't fuck around again the second time. Because if you do it one time, it's kind of like nukes, like America's the only country that's used nukes. Like, who's to be like, oh, you'll never use them again? Like, bitch, we already used them twice. Are you going to say that to us? Y'all ain't used yours. You can flex them a lot, but we're the only ones who use them. So, Panama, I don't know. Lessons learned. That's what I just think. Like Grenada, probably good use of the military. Like what other alternatives were there other than the use of the military? We go in, we do a job, we get out, mission accomplished. Panama, same thing. We go in, we do a job very well and get out. So I think maybe those two conflicts are justified. Long wars though, like Vietnam. Vietnam's the Afghanistan part one. We're like, yeah, we're gonna go to war and we're fighting the North Vietnamese, but we're never actually gonna step foot in North Vietnam. We're just gonna bomb the shit out of it, but no troops there. We're just gonna be in South Vietnam. Like all these politicians are putting rules on it. Stupid war. World War One was basically just to gain land. Like we did great after World War One. Wait till both sides are locked in a stalemate and everybody's died, and then we're like, "Yeah, we'll jump in. We'll help you out, Britain, but you're gonna have to give us a bunch of stuff." Did good from that. Same thing as World War Two. We're in the war super late. Like people think the war in Europe lasted for years. Like it's from June 1944, and then it's done in May of 1945, and we come out way better than everybody else because of that. But I guess we're dilly-dallying in North Africa for a while. The
Yeah,
pit,
World War One, we lend-leased and then backed backed the English and gave them so much money. So it was, well, if we ever want to get paid back, we got to go make sure these guys win. And then somewhat the same with World War Two. I mean, the United Kingdom, whatever those retards call themselves, the Islamic Caliphate of England, they didn't stop paying us back till like 2015 from World War One. So, we backed that horse because of because they wouldn't have paid us back either way if we didn't.
I don't know, like the Japanese attacking us in World War II, I think that part of the war was a little bit more justified to be involved in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we go back and forth on that, but
Yep. Yeah.
it is the back and forth is a good conversation to have regarding the last chapter on what the hell are we doing these wars for anyways. I think, from the different conflicts or wars we've talked about, there was, I guess, something to have gained, but like you mentioned a few minutes ago, if we had won Afghanistan, what were we going to gain?
Could have got our fucking hot dog salesman back. Now who knows where this guy's run off to? He's with scattered like the fucking winds.
I mean, really, we gained a $10 trillion lesson that nation building in deeply religious countries, particularly Islamic nations, is a total waste of time. I'm sure we will forget about that in like 3 years and be doing it somewhere else, probably Yemen or
Tomorrow morning, bro. Tomorrow morning.
no.
Good
Uh,
news. Good news. We got a nation building ran into a wonderful ally.
oh God, like in two countries at the same time. We're like, we got this great idea. But I mean, really, it was never about winning or losing. It was just about making money. And it
Imagine
like,
getting evacuated out of your barracks in Qatar right now.
th
Dude, I
and
had to leave my Xbox in my barracks room. I got evacuated out of Qatar overnight. Fuck.
I know. But at least, I mean, like if you're looking at the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, being res like Iraq is really nothing to do with 9/11. Cheney was just like, now's a great time to attack Iraq. That's how it went down. And the American people are just like, oh yeah, Iraq, we hate them. Like they hadn't done anything. At least Afghanistan, if you're looking at two of the wars going on, like that was more of a result of 9/11. I mean, mission accomplished. I mean, at least Al Qaeda never recovered for now.
Yeah, good thing 19 Saudis flew into our World Trade Centers and then we pushed Afghanistan's shit in until we didn't.
Yeah, trained by a guy that the CIA trained. A lot of people don't know that, but the CIA had good relations with bin Laden for a long time. But yeah, so at least you have you if you're looking to, and I know you all don't, but it's like the war in Afghanistan, at least if you know, like American people upset, I think everybody in 2001 wanted something to be done. Afghanistan's the result, but then Iraq just being thrown in there just because Cheney was like, this is literally how it went. Like they're just sitting at the table drawing war plans. Like the day after 9/11, he's like, if we're gonna attack Iraq, it needs to be now. Finish your daddy's job. That one's pretty wild, but we didn't even have a reason to go in Iraq. Like they were cooperating with weapons inspections. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
I mean, that this conversation could be a standalone episode back and forth, but I want to keep it at chapter
Yeah.
18.
If we won, then what do you think?
If we had won,
Yeah, then what?
there there was no way to win. There the people of Afghanistan did not want a democracy. The people of Afghanistan hate each other. They're they're uh m- they're like they're a it would be like the European states that have all these different ethnicities and different cultures, and that's what you have in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is the remnant of multiple empires, the Mongols, the Seljuk Turks, uh, Greeks
Bactrians,
coming in.
name it.
So there's different ethnic groups, different all throughout the country, and then within those ethnic groups, there's warring tribes. So that it's not a unified nation in the way that we think of a modern nation state. So to say that the all of these people that hate each other are going to um, be democratic and vote for somebody, that's ridiculous. So I don't know what winning would have looked like. I mean, Karzai was reelected multiple times. How is that not, um, establishing a democracy,
Elected.
right? And then the Afghan army, um, tra training them up to, I don't know, be a well-equipped fighting force. What is what would that even mean? Who are they going to be fighting against? I mean, they're not be ever being invaded by Iran or Iraq or Syria or China. Like what kind of what do they need? to defend themselves against other than the internal struggle because the people don't want a unified government. They're just a fractured state of multiple ethnicities and cultures.
Brendan,
What?
thoughts?
Fucking, there's no way to win. There's no win in Afghanistan. They don't give a fuck. They don't have any single unifying thing that they adhere to. This is like it's not a like even now with the Taliban being the official government of Afghanistan, it's not like a theocracy like you would think of like I don't know, Vatican City or whatever. It's not. The 99 out of 100 Afghans are like, I don't give a shit if the government is Muslim just like me. I give a shit about like I have to get some wood to make some fucking footbread today, and I'm going to do that. And then tomorrow I have to wake up and I have to go and put like open up my canals to grow my poppy so that I can sell something to buy oil to cook my footbread with. And like the one tractor in town that we got in 2003 is broke down. And so we all have to go look at our heads, look at the tractor and scratch our heads for a while until somebody from fucking Kabul can come and fix it in like a month. They don't care, dude. They live a hand to mouth. And so there's not a win. You're not going to be like, "Hey, I know you guys are like literally just trying not to die every day at least once, like in ways that we don't understand in the United States. Like it's not that dangerous to take your pickup that has fucking curtain airbags down the road, but it is that dangerous to take your stupid donkey down the cliff face in Afghanistan. Like it is dangerous. They live hand to mouth, and so we're not going to convince them to come and work towards some greater good at the ballot box whenever they're just trying to work towards a regular okay whenever they wake up the next day. There's no like I think personally that it ties into their perception of time because like a lot of other cultures perceive time differently. Like we as Americans, we as Oklahomans and our friend from California here can reasonably expect to be around 20 years from now. And so we have to do shit. Like I expect to live to 55, you know what I'm saying? And so like I have to do shit. I have to put money away because inflation's gonna sprint out ahead of us more than it already is. Like I have to decide when to sell my massive hoard of silver. Um, I have to go to work and like shit like that. But an Afghan's perception of time is like fucking next month would be nice to see, you know? And so like whenever we go vote for a president, for example, like as real as voting is here, like we go vote for a president, we got this asshole for 4 years, and then like Biden's presidency in 2020 when he won, I called my mom like we're gonna eat shit as a country for 40 years, and you're gonna live to see most of it. My mom's older than me. You know, I'm going to live to see all of the fallout from the Biden administration. You guys are probably going to live to see all the fallout from the Biden administration. In Afghanistan, they don't give a fuck about something like that. They're just trying to make it to next month, dude. They're trying not to wreck their dirt bike and get their head stapled back together by some weird foreigner in a pair of camis. There's no win. There's no win because there's no long game in that culture. The it's not an insult. It's not to say that they're doing it wrong. They live in Afghanistan. I don't. And like the fact that you can't win down there isn't it, again, the fact that we can't win down there is not an insult to us, not an insult to how they're living. It's just they have a fundamentally different perspective on what basically what the future holds. And so whenever our desired outcome is like you guys need to have a long game. You need to have these elections. You need to expect politics to play a part in your everyday life. And somebody that gets elected tomorrow might determine some outcome 20 years from now. And the Afghan is like, fuck that, dude. I gotta go score a shitload of poppy bulbs tomorrow, and it's gonna be hot because I live in Afghanistan. And that's like, I mean, that's a dramatic simplification of it, but not that dramatic.
Yeah. Well, let me put my conspiratorial hat on. So,
My favorite part of the episode.
all right. Hmm. I would say some Americans' global interest at Afghanistan was a mission accomplished for them. Yeah, the defense companies wanting to make $10 trillion. Yeah, sure. But that technocratic neo-Marxist state that's coming here. So in Afghanistan, think about this. Uh, how do we enslave the American people? Tech, what we can do is we can go to this land before time where there's no social security system, no electricity, running water, this and that, and we are going to start cranking out equipment and technology that's going to allow us to track every single person, and we're going to develop AI software to keep track on all of it. So the biometric program, I mean, I guess it was cool when I was doing it, but I hated it. The fact that, we're developing equipment to, you know, catalog people's fingerprints, DNA, buccal swabs, iris scans. We have the shot spotter equipment, so anytime, gunfire goes off, we know direction and range. And if you have, three systems going in s- small enough of an area, you can triangulate where that gunfire was coming from, and then we see all that stuff here. Uh, Also, that the AI stuff at the time was using Palantir software that was on the like super high side at the time, the JWIC side. Um, and then now Palantir is just out in the open, just a publicly traded AI company, military AI company that, yeah, I think it was called like Project One or something, and that's what they did that's how they're rebuilding like Ukraine. So every person there, Palantir knows who's doing this and that. You got pre-crime data and all that. So I think that was one reason why. We stayed in Afghanistan for so long. Maybe not why we went there, but it became a useful proving grounds for some sinister interests beyond just making money. Every fucking police department in America has MRAPs and you know stuff like that now, mine resistant vehicles, and they look like a damn near army squad of army infantry guys now.
The
Every
fucking
police
Washita
station.
County Sheriff's Department, dude. Washita County is this extremely sparsely populated county in Oklahoma. They have a city, they have a couple towns, whatever. But
That
their sheriff's department has fucking MRAPs, dude. What do you what for?
the Americans have less liberties as a result of the technologies and TTPs we developed in Afghanistan for Afghanistan.
And don't forget that Patriot Act. Yep, we're doing our part, guys. We're doing our part. Yeah, the Patriot Act is definitely like the most criminal part of what happens at home as a
What are
result
you
of
talking? It has the word patriot in the name, dude. It can't be bad.
exactly. Oh, how could you vote no on
You
that? Are you
vote
not a
you voted
patriot?
against the Patriot Act. You're getting fucking primary, dude. You're getting
My God.
primary, dude.
And then the
Yeah.
facade that they put on, like, oh, I had to vote for it to keep America safe.
Keep America safe. Make
Yeah.
America safe again. I had to vote for
What?
it. You don't want the terrorists to win, dude.
Is it Ben Franklin saying, like, don't give up your freedoms for security? Or was it Washington? One of our
I think it
I
founding
was
think it
fathers.
was
Jefferson.
I
I'm
think it
pretty
was
sure it was Thomas Jefferson.
pr pretty sure it's Ansel Adams.
Maybe Thomas Paine. Is that one? I don't know. Anyways, it's funny that like in when I was in school, like this GWAT stuff really took off when I was in junior high, high school. And they literally, it was literally like, you don't want the terrorists to win, do you? Little the fuck did I know, right? That like first off, I didn't know I was gonna wind up in Afghanistan and like meet terrorists and shit. And also, I didn't know that I'd be working for the federal legislature when the terrorists did fucking win in Afghanistan. And we got a Patriot Act out of it. And we got just the inflation thing has those chickens have yet to come home to roost. There's no fucking way. Like economically, the outcome of the Afghan war, the GWAT writ large, has not come home to roost. And I don't know how all the pieces are tied together, but I will say this. Consider this when you talk about the economy in January of 2026, which is when we're recording this. Silver right now is what, $96 at close today? I mean, it's still trading in China and shit, right? But the US Mint ceased production and sales of silver proofs sets using, but here's the thing. If they were interested in making dollar bills, if they were interested in trading those things for dollar bills, they would exhaust the supply of silver they have now and sell all the shit because they bought it low and they're selling it high. They're selling it at an all-time high, as a matter of fact. So they might have bought a kilo of silver 10 years ago to press into proof sets today of like, I don't know, quarters and shit. I have some, like, I have like the Marine Corps ones, the Marine Corps US Mint coins made out of 99.99 fucking whatever. But they're not selling high at all-time high for silver. So what economic outcome does that belie if the government, who is like, we have to make money, has this easy money to make, and they're like, no, we're keeping the precious metal. We're not trading it. We're not trading these precious metals for fiat currencies. We're keeping the precious metal. What does that mean?
That means that the US government doesn't even want US dollars.
Fucking yikes, dude. To me, I didn't think of it like that. Um, Matt, I didn't think of it like that, but that is the simplest. I mean, yes, that is, prove that wrong. You cannot prove that statement wrong because that's what the fucking evidence shows, plain as
Maybe
day.
maybe if the suspension of the mint's suspension, if that lifts in like a week, okay, whatever. Maybe they're just trying to wait for an equilibrium, but why would you wait for an equilibrium for a week and just absorb the cost? And especially since the US government, yeah, they need to make money, but also the Federal Reserve just prints an endless amount of fake money anyways. So it seems like the US government just no longer has confidence in fake money.
Eventually, they're probably going to be like, North Korea counterfeited too many $100 bills, and we got to go to war with those guys. One last thing I want to talk about that I think is really interesting. I want to do a separate episode over Al Qaeda. I've already told you that. The more you look into it, the wilder things get. Like, we let a small organization of probably like 2,000 people blow up two embassies. And then we let them, and then they blow up another hotel full of Americans in a different country. And then we let them do 9/11, and then we finally do something about it. That part blows my mind when you think about it. Like, look into Al Qaeda a little bit. And we just kind of didn't do anything about it until they kind of did something too big, and then the overreaction for 20 years of war is pretty wild.
Then we got to go down the 9/11 rabbit hole and how much of it what was, let happen. You got to open up that conspiracy theory, that can of worms about did we know it was happening? Did the CIA know? Did they not tell the FBI? Um, did we know the Saudis were involved? They're going to do this. You gotta look at that.
They
Did
found
we
the
ask
passports.
anybody? Did we ask anybody besides the Bin Laden group to rebuild Iraq? Was that fucking? Did we ask anybody besides the guy, the family of the guy? Like,
Yeah, that's the other piece of that. That's who, yeah. Halliburton and Bin Laden's brother were rebuilding Iraq.
It's probably good. That's probably really well built. Also, I just looked it up. The most recent verifiable silver procurement by the U.S. Mint occurred on June 3rd, 2024, when it contracted with Sunshine Minting Incorporated for silver blanks used in coin production. And the price of silver then was $33 an ounce. Um, it is $88.50 an ounce right now as we speak. And so the U.S. Mint not making 50 fucking dollars on an ounce on every ounce that they sell is fucking, I don't know, dude.
Maybe it's that, or maybe it's the just supply side. I hope it's the supply side, and it's like, hey, China supplies like 80% of refined silver. So since they are cutting it off, maybe we just need to hold on to some silver for a little bit, but that's probably not the case.
Yeah. Anyways, we're running close to hour 3, so we gotta
Yep,
move.
and I thought it was good to go on this kind of a rant about all these different fucked up things because it's kind of the theme of chapter 18 is that, and that was one of the main takeaways I had from the chapter is that our country is a bit fucked up. The world at large is a bit fucked up.
I like to think that we are silly and everybody else is fucked up. We're just vibing, like we're riding the wave, and everybody else is fucked up.
Yeah, our electronics will probably not work later on today.
Mine already is not working, so
Yep, but I don't know. It's good. I think, and these are themes that we'll talk about, for a long time to come on the podcast. Before we wrap, anything
Let me
else y'all want
say,
to talk
yeah,
about?
let me say one thing. Just all of my views and Maynard's and Clark's views about the book or whatever has nothing to do with the publisher, Wargate Books. They published the book and had that scrubbed with DoD, but just, all the stuff that we're diving into and whatnot, that has no affiliation to them. However, you should go to the wargatestore.com and buy a shit ton of the books.
Just like my mother, who has bought some copies recently to give me one back, particularly because I gave her my copy.
the one with the dick autograph. Also, my co-host views don't represent necessarily my views, for reasons.
Look it up. Google me. No, I'm kidding. All this shit's going on though. All right. Well, that's gonna wrap up the fourth and final deep dive of your book, Matt. It was an honor to just kind of go over every chapter with you, chapter by chapter, get your thoughts, understand what you were going through, and then us just to rant and go on sidetrack conversation. So it was a lot of fun.
This has been a long time coming, and I think I can safely say that the length of time that we've all dedicated to this 4-part serial, I now know what it feels like to both carry and deliver a child for 9 months. Like, no, nobody can ever hold it over my head. Like, you'll never go through the pain of being pregnant and having a baby. You'll never know what that's like because we did this 4-part serial. And
Yeah,
I say it may even be harder than that.
this is going to be like what, 12-ish hours. So,
That's 36 man hours, which is like 200 woman hours, dude.
well, that's kind of what I was getting at is 12 hours of recording. So our producer is going to have like 24 plus hours of production.
Yeah. And get paid 77 cents on our dollar for it, which my heart goes out, dude.
And I had to listen to the damn audiobook 3 times. And then I took probably 25 pages of notes to do my homework and ask you
And this
questions that
motherfucker
I
still call 25 pages of notes. He's like Bolvac.
All right, we're wrapping it there. We're wrapping it there. Thank you for listening. That concludes the fourth and final episode
Yeah, y'all be
of
good
the war business.
or don't.
All right, peace out. Keep your powder dry.
The War Business Podcast is brought to you by Matthew Bruneman, Brendan Clark, and Dakota Maynard. Editing by Stephanie Maynard. The theme song is California Wind by Bruno E. The War Business Podcast cover art is the copyrighted property of the War Business Podcast. The book, War Business, The Hired Guns of Helmand Province, is copyrighted by Wargate Books. Wargate Books is not responsible or liable for any material or conversations produced and expressed by the War Business Podcast.